Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
It's got to be the GAWD just to keep it safe.
And you know what? And it has a twofold purpose, because yes, you're going to avoid backlash because you're not using the traditional Nordic rendering of the deity.
Right.
But you can also say, we're appeasing the outrage mob, but also this is direct challenge to white supremacy by rendering a different spelling of God.
Right. Yeah, we don't accept your Nordic god or goat or whatever it was called. You know what I'm saying? We don't accept it. So we're respelling it. It's like adding an A to the instead of an ER at the end of a word. We flipping it on y'all. I love it. I absolutely love it. Dolemite is my favorite depiction of God ever in the history of depictions of God.
I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, I've never been happier about the concept of Dolemite as God. We gotta do this because we've been talking about it for like 4 episodes straight. It's been mentioned, so people are gonna be expecting us to come through with the Dolemite, the retelling of the Bible with the blaxploitation accents and I don't mean accents as in speaking styles. I mean accents like in accoutrement.
Accoutrement.
Yeah, fancy shit. You know what I'm
saying? Absolutely. Well, I got two new characters. One is completely stolen, so we'll make no mistake about it. It's like when the Boondocks took the dude and gave him a different name. I like to do hood rat things with my friends.
Yeah.
And then blended him with the movie Juice and made him his own thing. So the 8-ball time traveler has to be a character, and he appears at different epochs in time, like the Terminator. He always has the 8-ball jacket on, but nothing else. When he first shows up, he's Donald Duck in it, no pants, just the 8-ball jacket, and you don't know if he's legit or if he's completely out of his mind. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm on a mission from God. I'm here to have sex with future me." But he'll find people and hold them at gunpoint. He's like, "Yeah, you got to eat my ass, future me." He's like, "I'm younger than you. I can't be you in the future.
I'm not matter. You. It doesn't matter. It's not rape because it's my future self."
Right. Can't press charges on me for doing me.
No, he's me, Your Honor.
But you never know for sure if he's really the time traveling 8-ball jacket dude, or if he's just a homeless lunatic who has to justify his sexual perversions by giving himself the narrative that he's a time traveler on a mission for God that has to have his future self eat his ass. Wow. Based on a true story.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some fiber in there. There's something that can hold that story together. We need a few more elements. It could be like a procedural procedural cop show where the whole time he just keeps appearing in different places, holding people at gunpoint, and he's got to talk his way out of being arrested. And the only way he talks his way out of being arrested is by giving the cops information on a crime that's about to be committed, like some future crime shit. So it's like part Minority Report, part Mad 8-ball assy fucking saga.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you could build a show around him, but just as like akin to a comic book guy on The Simpsons. He's not getting his own episode, but right. You put him in there when you want to have some violent ass eating.
Oh my god, that's one of the most amazing video clips I've ever seen. It's so confusing on so many levels. It's so much and it sucks that you have to think about it, but there's so much to ponder. There's so much going on. It's very, very confusing as to how something like that happens in broad daylight without violence. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I feel like if they liked each other enough, they could have found a better place. They could have found something more private. If it was under duress, the guy, he didn't have a knife in his hand. He wasn't no shiv. This isn't prison footage. He was in a fucking subway just hanging out. It's very, very confusing and disturbing. I don't understand at all. Like I said, that's why my brain just reverts to time traveler. That's the only comfort that I have is that there's some science fiction shit going on here that we're just not advanced enough to understand. I totally don't get it.
It's literally the only narrative that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's why we're gonna take that as the source material and have the 8 ball jacket time traveler. He shows up in an electrical storm like Terminator, and you don't know if it's real or not, if it's the hallucination in his head, but he's on a mission and he's gonna find him in the future.
it's the
And
only way to stop the end of the world.
it's the only but listen, you don't know cyborgs are gonna kill us all unless you eat my ass right now on this subway. When you put it like that, listen, I'm me, I'm you from the past. You're me in the future.
No, no,
Like you're
it's his
about
past self. It
48.
has
I'm
to be
only
his past self.
22.
That's the only way it makes sense. As if it's his. It has to be. He has to come from the future where he's already seen the world collapse, and he started traveling back in time to figure out how to stop it. And then once he figured out how to stop it, this is how he got here today. Like, I finally figured it out.
Okay.
I've traveled.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait, I got it. It's even better. So no matter what year it is, he's telling you he's coming from the future in 1995.
Right,
It's like that's why he's in the 8 ball jacket. It's his time
right.
traveling 8 ball jacket. It's like, dude, it's 2026. I'm from the future. You're me. I'm here to save you. Eat my ass or Skynet's taking over. And none of it lines up. The dates don't line up. The age of the people he's encountering don't line up. They don't look anything like him. It's always duress. There's a pistol involved, and it's
And he's going through. He's
it's
going through
tragic.
parallel universes instead of just one Earth timeline. He's going through parallel universes, and he to
Even
stop the
better.
end of the world. That it's going to collapse. It's actually going to be some kind of multi-dimensional black hole that's going to collapse everything on the whole multiverse. And the only way he can stop it is to get 84 versions of his past self. So he just has
No, 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 no. 88.
88. Right there we go.
88's even better
88
because then
versions.
there's now a significance to the 8 ball jacket.
Yeah, you're number 76. Don't break the chain. If you break the chain now, it was all for naught.
and so you have appearances where he's clearly everyone the whole audience is convinced that he's just a deranged madman who likes to get his ass eaten and has concocted this ridiculous story to justify his horrifically perverse and violent behavior. But then, like seasons and seasons deep, all of a sudden something huge happens where there's a black hole and there's really a catastrophe that's averted, and you're like, holy shit, he was right. This was absolutely right. What a
Right.
great reveal that would be.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think the audience, we'd have to confirm for the audience eventually that he is a real time traveler. That's like the first, maybe season 2 finale is that he really is a time traveler. Now you have to figure out if he's trying to save the world or if he's just a perverted time traveler. That's still a possibility because
Okay,
you
okay,
can't
that's great.
explain. You can't explain the throughway between why this is the way you stop the end of the world. There's no, I can't explain that, but just trust me. An older version of me told me that this was the only way, and the worlds that he goes to just gets progressively better. Like he should, because you got the show starts on like number 48, 47. The show starts on 47. He's already been on his mission. He's halfway through and they show you some glimpses of the other worlds that he's been through, and they were all like apocalyptic dystopian worlds. And the more the more he convinces people, the better the worlds get. Until the final season is in some kind of like pristine, sterile, and the whole world is all everything's white and gray. Everybody dresses
Oh
the same.
shit.
It's that that drone world where they think it's all
Oh.
better, and they take drugs so they won't be emotional. And that's number 88. That's the last person he has to convince. And he
Oh.
lives in a society that's so removed from sex acts and drugs and like he just doesn't understand. He's like, yo, this is not the place for this nonsense you speak of. Like, trust me, you're the last one. It has to work. You can't do it by force either. You got to convince them.
That's masterful storytelling because I would have just had it just it's just a disjointed psychotic cameo throughout, and then just all of a sudden, in one grandiose moment, everything's legitimized, and there's this huge event that validates him, and he just disappears, and you never see him again. But to end the season where you validate the time travel, like that part's legit.
Right.
But you don't know if the other shit is legit. He could just be a dude that's mastered time travel and is using that as an excuse to get his ass wet. That could be it. That's even better. Bravo.
And yeah, his and the key to his time travel is the 8-ball jacket.
That's it. It never comes off.
Right. It's all built into the 8-ball jacket.
He'll
The,
get
the
to
eight
a new
lights up.
place every time the electricity hits, and then he just.
Gosh, the 8-ball time traveling get my salad tossed, man.
And you can even work him in like he's the reason why the salad toss slang even originated.
Right.
Because when he
went
was in
further-
prison, he used to work in the cafeteria.
Oh.
You have a whole backstory of how he's responsible for all the slang. He's been there. Any pivotal moment in the history of ass eating coming into the mainstream, he's been involved. His hand has been in it, one
It's
way
all
or
him.
the other.
That's why we're in this reality right now where everybody is like normalizing ass eating. That's how
Yeah.
we got here now. It's because he's
He
been
got to number
cleaning up the
53.
timeline. He's been cleaning up the multiverse. This shit is terrible. Absolutely horrible.
Well, hold on. It's not that bad because you haven't heard the second character. Check this out. The Watcher. Now there's hold on. Now, throughout comic books, and there's always been the Watchers, the Watcher. It's an age old concept. Okay, it's in there one way or the other. But here's how this one gets intermingled. What is a played out universal superhero trope? Like from the beginning superheroes.
Is what secret identities?
Secret identity. And they would always have a way, underdog and Superman, they go into the booth and they change, and then all of a sudden nobody doesn't know, right? And there's the secret identity. So a dude gets a government contract and they decide that somebody needs to know for their protection and for national security the secret identity of all superheroes. So this dude who makes this proprietary changing box gets a government contract, and all superheroes are designated to change in this box, which happens to be with these little eye holes. And this dude is just a watcher, and he confirms everyone's identity and holds that secret because he literally watches all of the superheroes change. And you don't know if this is something that's really needed or if he just went through all of the rigmarole to justify the government need for security just so he could be creepy and watch people change.
And he can also see. I like this. I like the fact that there's a box, right? And all the superheroes are already working for the government. Like they've gotten past that part already. They all are on a list. We know who you. And like this is how we're gonna get their secret identities. Is because if a superhero is found, doing some type of action without having used the box to change, he's an enemy, right? So the guy, he has teleporting technology. The superheroes all get like a little pager. They push the button to order the box, and the box, the box just downloads into their reality, just streams right then, and they can hop into the box, and the guy's just built into it, watching them. I love the Watcher because I was thinking like because he, this is being recorded. Obviously, the 8-ball jacket guy is being recorded, so the person who recorded it has to be part of the whole, part of the whole plot, because they're the only real reason that we know this even exists. No, we don't know anything else if this one person hadn't been recorded.
Video.
And it's fine, then you come to find out they were present in every reality where this happened. They always got footage of it. And we got to start back tracing to find out who the freaking Watcher is. That's amazing, dude. This is some good stuff. This is golden intellectual property, I must say. I feel like there's a community out here somewhere that would love to buy that from us. and just develop that as a character. Maybe they can give it the nuance and the flair that it actually needs. And I wasn't using those words to be funny. I was just saying maybe they can give it the flair it needs. But I feel like we would miss a lot of grand opportunities to make that shit even more hilarious. Because like I said, I'm just confused overall. This could just be regular shit for where he was at.
I
It could
think
be
you
normal.
I think you could find so many parallels in the Watcher shit just because of the way that the NSA is, the way that everybody's monitored, the way that tabs are kept on people, and to just like have that worked in to where it's justified by some ridiculous government overreach and there's some creepy dude that ends up getting the contract and he's just a creepy pervert. Nobody's comfortable with the fact that he's watching, but you have no choice. It's a government mandated changing box. He has the proprietary technology. There's no way around it. There's no
Yeah.
way around it. You got to get in the booth and strip. And you know he's taking pictures and he's probably pleasuring himself right
Yeah, he's
outside the
rocking the
box.
box while you're
But you
changing.
don't know.
the,
He's
the
there's
box is rocking.
panting, there's heavy breathing. It's creepy. And he looks creepy. He looks like somebody you would never want to see you change, but it's literally his job for the
Yeah.
sake of national security and the preservation of superhero integrity with state cooperation. You don't want to just be a rogue superhero. Nobody knows where your allegiance lies. You want to be officially recognized in the bureaucracy of superhero monitoring so that you're legit. You don't want to be a rogue superhero. You don't want that smoke because then the legit superheroes they may be forced to come after you. So you just people comply. They don't want
I
to
love
deal with the fines. They don't want to deal with the potential, Interpol ramifications. They just comply and they get in the box and they take their clothes off and they know creepy shit is happening right on the outside, but there's nothing they can do.
And I can see him too. He's totally the guy, like you said, the guy you don't want watching you do anything. He's all disheveled and greasy
He's
with
got the wispy hair, like the
the horn
balding on
rim
top that's
glasses.
wispy.
Yep, the
Yeah,
horn rim glasses for sure.
the watcher.
He's got on a plaid shirt, a dirty plaid shirt, and a corduroy jacket over the shirt. Always a little moist from being sweaty and shit. Like, yeah, that's the guy. That's the watcher. And that's not. That seems like a name he's had since high school before he actually started doing this job for the NSA. Like they've always called him the Watcher. You just catch him staring you down while you're doing random shit. Yeah, that's the guy, dude. That's better than the Marvel Watcher.
By far. By
Yeah,
far.
just a freaking just a really attentive pervert, a possible pervert. We don't know for sure.
Possible. We're not. You never know. Just like you
Yeah.
never know if the eight ball time traveler is really a Terminator from the future with a purpose, or just a creep that has to justify his, perverse behavior. Nobody knows.
Not until
That's
season 3 finale.
that's the best part of Infinite Regress Illuminati. There's always room for a reveal of what's really behind the what's really behind of what's really the behind. You
Yeah.
just keep peeling layers back of the onion and fuck with people's perception of reality
Yeah.
nonstop. It's
Until
great.
you get to March 4th is when Trump will actually become the new president.
Was it March 4th?
Yeah, it's March 4th now. That's what I'm
Are
saying. You
you
keep
are you
peeling.
serious?
Yeah, you got to keep peeling. The
Oh
layers they
man.
just keep going. Now it's
No, no,
March
no,
4th.
no, 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 no. I've stayed away from this. I don't like to be triggered. I'm staying away. I'm staying in a happy place. I'm planting
Well,
my
just so you
garden.
know,
I'm being
March 4th,
productive.
March 4th, apparently Donald Trump will be inaugurated president because since the White House is fenced off now, that makes it a foreign country. And since it's a foreign country, Joe Biden's inauguration is null and void.
Because it's a foreign. It's a now. These people do know that DC has never been officially like part of the United States.
Right,
It's like
exactly.
its own
So
thing.
exactly. So if you put a fence around the White House, that means exactly. See, they know what they're talking about.
No,
Makes
no, no, no.
perfect
Hold, no, no,
sense.
wait. Think I'm confused.
No, yeah, yeah, it's perfect.
All right, well then I don't. When you say it with such certainty, I don't know. I just feel safe,
Right.
and I feel
Yeah.
like there's nothing to worry about.
See how that works?
Yeah,
See
that's
how that
good.
works?
Well
Yeah,
played.
the war has been won. All we're waiting for now is, all we're waiting for now is the final blow. You can't set off the trap too soon. You got to let all the rats get around the cheese really close, and then you push the button at the last second. So that's all we're waiting for right now. So all the cute people, everybody who didn't believe in it, all you got to do is kick your feet up now. We won. We won. See?
That's
It
heavy,
was
man.
worth it. It was all worth it. It was all worth it. March 4th
Listen,
is coming real quick.
I I I absolutely am sure there was shenanigans. We'll never know because the judges were bought off, all the politicians were on board, all of the things that needed to be examined were not examined. So there's absolute fuckery. But you can't, with any sort of intellectual integrity, make the leap to say that you know one way or the other because nothing was actually hashed out.
Yeah.
You don't know. Anybody that says Trump definitely won, you're full of shit. You don't know that he definitely won. The voting machines were never looked at in the way that was needed. The claims of, double voting and people from phony addresses, there's been people that have been doing the research that said it's significant, but you don't know if it would have changed anything. The illegal ballot harvesting in Wisconsin is definitely a real thing, but it was never looked at to such a degree that you really know the numbers. So the real slick fuckery that's going on is there's not enough fraud to know, or there's not enough fraud that would have changed the election. They can say that with some modicum of integrity only because it's never been exhaustively examined what the extent of it was. So we
Mm.
just don't know. So I know there was fuckery. I'm not mad at these people for wanting to believe there's some sort of superhero shit about to go down because it was absolute fuckery. It absolutely was. But this shit at this point is indefensibly dumb now.
Well, I mean,
March
we'll
4th,
never
stop
really
it.
know. We'll never really know until the temporal 8-ball jacket has been invented, and then we can actually go back and take a closer look at everything.
Once I
It's-
eat the ass of my future self and he puts all this in order, then maybe we'll know. I can't
that's
believe
how
they're
you get a.
saying
That's how you trigger a vision. You get a vision of the future, what's going to happen. If you could ever get your future self, your past self, to eat your own ass, you can,
then you can see the future to start steering the ship. You can
right.
start making the moves to get it on
You get
get it
7
aligned.
minutes of clairvoyance.
Oh my
That's all
god.
you get. 7 minutes of clairvoyance. You got to save the world with that.
I feel bad for these people, but Washington D.C., just like the Vatican, just like I believe some part of London. I don't know if it's a specific section of London. I don't know, but these are all places that aren't under any government authority. They're their own thing. So you can't say now because he fenced off D.C. he's not actually the president.
Right.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense because DC has never truly been a part of the United States. So none of the presidents were actually presidents. I don't understand. I
Right.
don't understand. And even though you said it confidently, I started thinking about it again, and I'm more confused now. It doesn't make
See,
any
that's
sense.
the no. See what it is that's all those seeds of doubt that the leftists and the libtards have planted in our consciousness. That's what that is. That's what that is. When you start looking at things with logic and reason, you're bordering on white supremacy.
I don't like any of these people.
you,
I
you're,
just
you're bordering on white. You know what? Let me just ask you. I'm gonna give you a quick racism test, just to see, just to gauge where your mind is. What's 2 plus 2?
it's five.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. I was just checking. You passed.
What am I
You
in the Klan? What I
man.
got?
Oh, it's so good. I watched so many videos. I was trying to find people who were in favor of this instead of people complaining about how stupid it is. So I watched a bunch of videos and I couldn't find a whole lot of actual people who were on board with it and agreed with the concept. I did find a few, and their tactic seemed to be just speaking confidently and blaming everything on white supremacy. So if you just speak really matter of factly and say 1 plus 1 will always be 3, And if you don't agree with that, you've been colonized and you're racist.
I
Yeah, it's special.
I I'm calling bullshit on this one. I'm calling complete and utter bullshit on this one. And I'm not even entertaining the possibility that the majority of black folk accept this shit because no, it's not. This is some Yakubian trickery, and there's no way, there's no way that any black people that are paying attention are saying, yes, this is how we do math. I know, I know personally a pharmacist from Ghana, okay? If you approach them with the idea that black people are just not supposed to be precise with mathematics, he would he would be appalled and mortified at the proposition. If
Mm.
he added things a different milligram, a different amount, he would literally kill people. You can't tell him. I mean, we're basically saying that the assertion of this shit is there will never be any black accountants. You're giving justification to never hire any black people for specific jobs because you're telling the rest of the world
This is
that
how
the
they count.
education system, well, yeah, they just have a different method. This is a precise. This is why math and science are so heavily integrated with one another. That you can't really have one without the other. It's the language of precision. There's no room for nuance. There's no room for missing the point. I mean, it's absolutely insulting to black people, and there's no way that the majority of black people think that this is a good idea. Nobody's parents. Absolutely not. If the runaway slave catcher came home and showed his mother was an educator, showed his mother and father that there was a math test in school and he got all the shit wrong, but they said, well, that's just how black folks count, so we're going to give you an A anyway. There would have been It would have been horrific. It would have been horrific how deep in the ass they would have gotten into that teacher.
Well,
The
it's
depths.
possible that they have internalized white supremacy, which is why they wouldn't have agreed with it. So the bad part is
I bow
with
out
this.
that. I'm sorry.
The bad part is what this is rooted in, right? Is a metaphysical quantum theory, right? So when they're speaking about it on a base level, surface level rather, there's truth attached to the theory that they're referring to, but the way they're using it is completely stupid and impractical. So this dude named Donald Hoffman came up with these theories that they're working on about conscious agents. Like, they're basically saying that the entire universe may be composed of consciousness itself. That's the fabric, that's everything, right? So in that conscious agent theory, they talk about how uh, everything that we can interact with or conceive is considered a conscious agent. So if me and you decide to have a conversation, there's me, there's you, and then there's the conversation. So in that sense, the one that is you and the one that is me equals three, because it's us two, and whatever interaction that we're having is a thing in and of itself. So that's what they're referencing. And when you listen to it in the science realm, in the science terminology, it makes perfect sense. You could even say that about the relationship that you have with your woman. It's a third thing that isn't you, it's not her, it's something else that manifested out of that union. So the one plus one equals three. I get that. But when you are talking about practical, physical, three-dimensional space, and you got a rock in your left hand and a rock in your right hand, there's no third rock, right? So they'll try to argue with you, because I've had this conversation. They'll try to argue with you and create some kind of, cockamamie scheme to trick you into thinking that it's still applicable on the 3D table, but it's not.
There's a third rock in their head. That's
Right.
where the third
Yeah,
rock
the
is.
thought of what I'm going to do with the rocks is the third, but that's a different thing. That's a different agent. It's a different everything. It's not, so you're not saying one rock plus one rock equals three rocks. That's not true. That's objectively not true. At the risk of sounding racist, that's objectively it's just objectively not true.
Conquering your own negativity right now.
I
I
know,
don't
I
know.
know. I'm
You're
sorry.
on dangerous grounds.
I can see the Dr. Umar gifts right now, just staring at me and shit. But it's just not. And so, objective reality has become a pillar of white supremacy. The idea that there's an objective reality is white supremacy. I, hey, listen, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna, since you've been so gracious and giving us so many white secrets, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna give away some black secrets. Black people don't believe this shit. What they appreciate and enjoy celebrating is white fragility. It's the white tears that they want to gorge themselves on. Because you know why? Because I got a taste of it. I don't enjoy white tears. I'm not that person. But white, as in Coca-Cola whiteness tears, I think we all enjoy. Because it's not just the white person, it's the concept of whiteness that we like seeing be threatened and stretched out of proportions and broken and all of that shit, because people hold on to it so much it kills them. And I'll give you a perfect example. When you sent me the video of the guy from the quartering and he was talking about this whole shit, he was making sense at first because he's talking about how, just the logic of it. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. But then he said he was totally against homeschooling because it robs children of important social interactions. He said children need to know that there's a hierarchy of people. But to be fair, before he finished the word people, he stopped himself and he backtracked and he said social hierarchy. He meant what he was saying the first time. He wants people going out into the world being tied to an idea that there is a real objective reality hierarchy of people. So the cheerleaders and the jocks are just better than, the nerds and the people that they laugh at and pick on. This is something that he said children need to learn, and homeschooling is robbing them of that, understanding that there's a hierarchy of people. That's whiteness. That's some goofy, stupid shit that he just said. So now I'm enjoying watching you melt down about 1 + 1 = 3. Now I'm enjoying it because you're a dick. So what I'm gonna do, I think what's happening here is people are seeing the opportunity. I'm just not gonna help you out. The white guy starts talking to me about, you hear this 1 + 1 = 3 shit. I'm just gonna shrug and be like, hey, you never know. I'm gonna further your meltdown. I'm gonna help you confront the shit that you need to confront until it tears itself all away, or you just implode and go nuts. One or the other. But I don't want to help you out of this anymore because I feel like there's some shit you really need to confront. And I know it sounds horrible. I know it. I know it sounds horrible. And I'm not saying that there's nothing black people need to confront. That's a different conversation with a different path to that confrontation, right? But this one right here, when people think like that, and then you start to complaining about some shit, I think people are just enjoying watching them cry. That's what it is. I don't know how many people believe this. These feminists and shit who are taking their shit to Coca-Cola, telling them to be less white and all of that. I think they just really dislike cis white males. And this is their way to chip away at their sanity. That's my guess. That's my guess. And black people are having a great time with it. But we don't think 1 + 1 = 3.
I
No.
I I don't know that there's any true believers, and as I stated from the get go, that had been my suspicion from the beginning. This is not shit that black people are coming up with and championing. The idea that there can be some revelry in it because of the response, yeah, that makes sense. I could definitely see that. But this is absolutely the brainchild of guilty white people. This is this is what it's been about from the very beginning of all of this woke shit. Is there's no real concern if you're equipping black people that need it the most with the tools that they need to succeed, so they have any kind of vision of hope and progress.
Mm.
Whether that is a part of the equation and this rhetoric and the implementation of these ideas and this kind of energy, that that is not a concern whatsoever. And I think you see a lot of that in the results. The main thing about this is people bringing to their attention, and it's almost like some pageantry about like who's got the biggest woke peacock feathers in the form of outrageous, ridiculous theories that completely deprive black people of any agency or responsibility or any drive. Like the idea that black people are just out there like, yo, we don't even want to learn math. Just please, please, white man, can you do this for us and just help us so that we never even have to. I mean, it's insulting.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insulting. But because they go out there and they put up this peacock feather of this is what I've come up with to to make the white established patriarchy status quo feel some kind of way and to cause an issue while doing this, at least proclaiming that the animus behind this is in service of furthering black people, even if I have no measurable evidence that it's doing anything to help anybody. This is my giant woke feather in my cap that I can put out there. It's it's pageantry, and like it's in every culture. You know what I'm saying? The Indian with the biggest headdress. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or the, you know what I'm saying? You got the biggest gold chain. You know, you got the most needless fucking landscaping in your yard. You know, whatever it is in this woke culture, that's that. An outrageous theory, no practical application, completely insulting if you think about it for too long, but disruptive enough that there's some buy-in, because at the end of the day, I could see some people looking at it and it's just enjoyable from like a perspective of mischievousness. Like this is just a monkey wrench in the cog of the status quo. It's getting people outraged. And the funny thing too is people on the right think they're always, triggering the libtards and drinking leftist tears. And, you know, I don't know how many of these people are true believers, but they absolutely have the same mechanism and they know exactly what buttons to push to solicit traditional white male outrage.
Right.
It's
Well,
the exact same thing.
well, I'll say this too because I did see this. This was a couple years ago. I'll send you the video too, where there's a class taking place in South Africa, a college class, and they're talking about how science has been so influenced by white psychology and white men and like the whole, white supremacy underpinnings in science. Now, they're talking about everything, not just experiments or the mind states of the people who were carrying out the experiments. They're talking about the scientific method itself is, white supremacist. So they're in a classroom talking about how the whole entire process needs to be scraped, done away with, and they need to start over from scratch and start to re-examine things. Now, there's it's a mixed classroom. There's South African people, there's white people in there, the whole nine. And the woman says, uh, you can't explain scientifically how, like, out in these villages, they believe that a witch doctor can send lightning to strike somebody if blah, blah, blah. And she says, how can you explain that scientifically? And a white guy in the room, deep in frustration, yells, because it's not true. And everybody in the room scolded him and laughed at him for saying it. And that was proof to their point that science is racist. They were like, you see what I'm talking about? He said it's not true. So this is why we need to scrape science. This class is filled with the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. And maybe that is that racist, but they all laughed at him when he said witch doctors can't send lightning to people, and that's why you can't explain it scientifically because it's not true. And they burst out into laughter and pointed at him like, yeah, you just proved my point. So I have no idea what even I would do in a room full of these people who decided to scold the guy who said that that's not true. What do you do with that? What do you do with that?
You have an experiment, and for as many times as he says he's gonna lightning strike people, how many times does it actually happen?
That's racist though.
No, that's applying the scientific method,
Which is racist.
which is racist. But
Yeah,
this,
research,
this is the only
objective
thing.
facts, gathering information,
But
having double blind. That's all racism, bro.
and again, this is just the problem with ascribing a racial identity to systems that
Yeah,
work. If
yeah,
we were starting from scratch and we got to, I know how to send a satellite into the sky to orbit the earth, right? I know how to get this electrical grid up and send electricity throughout and generate power. Like all of these things that are explained by math that are reliable, consistently reliable, far more reliable than the proclamation of a lightning strike. You know, um, you know that AZT is probably going to keep you alive much longer with AIDS than having sex with a baby, right? Both are beliefs that exist, right? But your belief isn't necessarily going to get the result. So at some point, you take beliefs, you apply them to the method. That's a tool set that has helped make humans progress, not just white humans, all humans. All of humanity has able to have technological progress by applying these principles. They're things that work. They
Right.
don't have to be owned by a race. And this is the thing that I think is really dangerous and super insulting racially is that you've taken all the things that have worked best in history, and just because in this current epoch, we've identified and associated them with Europe and mushroom cream of mushroom soup complected individuals, you've now said those tools belong to white people to the degree that you're saying it doesn't belong to black people when it's something that's objectively efficient, accurate, and helpful. What you're doing is you're destining people to associate with themselves based on these arbitrary qualities that we're applying to these, or these qualities that we're arbitrarily assigning to identity for no other reason than basically spite, just to
Right.
spite each other. You're dooming people to have access to less efficient tools. And this shit started with the African American Museum when they had that post, linear thinking is some white shit, being punctual is some white shit. Knowing that 2 plus 2 is 4 is some white shit. It's all in the same vein of explaining that the status quo that has been successful is owned by white people, and it's all bad. And the problem with that is it brings us all down, because now everything that's made the Western world um, successful has been demonized as white. It's white, and therefore it needs to be demonized and it needs to be bad. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, we can still preserve the things that are good and universally beneficial, and no longer embrace the innumerable atrocities and negatives that we can cite. We can unravel one from the other, but by putting it all together in the same box and saying, no, this is um irrevocably tied to white supremacy and white identity. 2 plus 2 equals 4 is white identity and white supremacy. You're making the default setting that to be black is to be wrong. To
Mm.
be black is to have tools that don't work. To be black is to not be punctual, to not have linear, rational thinking. These are the tools that have guided humanity to be able to achieve what we've achieved. And if we've wielded that knowledge as a whole irresponsibly and have committed atrocities with some of that knowledge, keep in mind that it's only like less than 1% of any people that actually influences the course that anything goes. Less than 1% of the people are the iconoclasts and the inventors and the leaders that are actually making all these decisions. Most of the people that they're carrying around with them ain't shit just because they look like them. Go to any white person. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, supposedly. I'm not even going to get into that argument. Okay, go to any random white person that you meet. How do you make a light bulb? How does a light bulb work? Ask anybody. Ask anybody. How many people actually know? You don't get credit for that shit. A very small minority of humanity have actually been able to achieve anything. And the way that they've achieved it has been with these tools. And these tools have been handed down and probably wielded by people from many different um, cultures and origins. Just because we go back to a certain origin point based on history doesn't mean that that was the first time this knowledge ever graced the earth. I mean, it's called algebra. That's an Arabic word. It's
Right.
not Western, right? So it's just so stupid. But again, I think it's all for this woke pageantry. These people can't absolutely be serious. But if you stop and think about it for long enough, it's what this is a call to engineer the destiny for black people to be associated with failure. With that's what the public proclamation is. All of these things that are effective, these are solely the the tools of white people. And so we're asking white people to be less white, so to not embrace these effective tools as much, to denounce them as remnants of white supremacy. And we're actively asking black people to go in the complete opposite direction of them, just out of spite for them being deemed the purview of white people. This makes us all dumber. This makes us all less effective. This makes us all less efficient. And I can't help but to think that this is by design. It's not to actually get to a solution. It's to get us all agitated with each other and focusing on dumb shit that doesn't matter. It's not designed for us to actually improve anything. It's just to ensure we stay at each other's throat endlessly. This is a fucking horrible idea to keep going down this road. And if you think that we shouldn't go down this road, at this point you might be the majority, but you're an unvocal majority. The
Yeah.
majority of the social sentiment and the people being vocal that's guiding the rudder of this ship, it's ubiquitous. Everybody is on. None of this shit is being challenged as fucking dumb like it should be. In fact, if you challenge it in a public way, you are out. I think they fired a Puerto Rican teacher in New York because she wouldn't do the Wakanda salute for Black
Yeah.
History Month. You can't
Yeah.
write this kind of stupid shit.
Dude, it's
You ain't
from a
even giving
movie.
black people real shit. You're talking about fucking Wakanda. You're not even, there's all kinds of black achievement that you could reference to show some love and appreciation of black culture because it's Black History Month. You give black people a comic book gesture as showing solidarity. This is again, I don't identify with race. I don't advocate for racial tribalism whatsoever. But this is absolutely white people shit. This is a monster created by white people.
100%. This says Ames was grilled about her ethnic background, chastised by a colleague at a training session when she shared her grandparents' experience during the Holocaust in Poland, and admonished when she declined requests at superintendents' meetings to take part in the comic book movie inspired Wakanda Forever salute to Black Power. So after they grilled her about her ethnic background, which is that's definitely par for the course. I can see that happening. But you get ostracized for refusing to do a Wakanda Forever salute. This is the world, bro. This is the real fucking world we're living in right now. Well, I guess it depends on how far you want to go with the real. But yeah, this is the simulation.
We
This
need
is the iteration
48
we're in
more
right
men to get their asses licked and to
immediately.
see into the future and guide us out of this hell.
Yeah, because it's
This
getting bad.
this is a prison of ignorance.
Yeah, it's getting bad. I feel like one of his past selves declined him.
It
And that's
must be. That's how we got here. Somebody's like, nope,
not doing it.
not gonna do it.
And
Not
everything just
doing it.
got instantly worse. We just woke up. There's a pandemic. There's people getting fired for not doing movie salutes. Shit's bad, bro. We're gonna have to come back to that guy later.
And
We
I
can't
don't
just let
mind.
him
I
off the
don't
hook.
mind any of this shit. If this is how you want to frame me personally, I I understand how other people identify other people. I don't. That's not the primary way that I identify. It's such an ancillary thing to me. There could be inherent differences, but everybody is an individual. And so just because the group that I come from may be known for this or known for that, that doesn't mean that I'm a part of that or I I have to take responsibility for it or or um or that I necessarily share in anything. the sins and the achievements. Like, I'm an individual,
Right.
and but I know how other people identify me. So I understand how we're all putting each other in boxes. The only other uh uh cream of mushroom soup person I have in my life in an intimate way like that is Surreal. And I know Surreal is more sensitive to a lot of this shit than I am. So I would venture to say he's probably more enlightened. But um I have nothing but black people around me, and I don't. It's not like I see them like, oh, that's my black friend. Everybody's black, everybody. So I don't see all these people as that's not the primary thing. They have a name, they have a history that I have with them. They have interactions and shared experiences. There's all these other dynamics at play for human interaction and the way that we see each other than this fucking race shit. And for this to be the primary thing that's injected into everything is absolute poison. And I'm for it to the degree that if that's how people want to feel validated, very well, but the double standard has to go away. If we're having seminars that we have to be less white, listen, when the employee tells Jamal, listen, I know you're at the counter and customers are coming up here, I need you to be less black. And they have that conversation. For the good of the business, I need you to be less black. And we could expound on what that conversation is, but everybody would be mortified if it was couched in those kinds of terms. But
Right.
if we're gonna have a seminar from Coca-Cola for white people to be told to denounce their whiteness and to become white traitors, as long as we're doing it, if we're gonna make room for that, we gotta make room for the alternative. We don't have any rational, logical argument to make to not allow there to be some seminar where we're asking black people to betray the black race in order to better serve their community. Like, betray blackness for the good of your business. Betray blackness for the good of the safety of your neighborhood. If we're doing the same thing in both directions, okay, fine. I don't think that's necessarily the best approach that we're crafting all of the arguments in those kinds of terms. But if that's the direction we're going, we have no rational argument to make that holds any water that we can't do the same thing in the other direction. And I think people that's what some of these triggered white people are going to start wanting to do. We're doing the Wakanda salute for black power. What are we doing for white power? What does that salute look like?
Well,
You know what
white
I'm saying?
power's all intrinsically bad, and black power is intrinsically good.
Well, all other powers except white power are good.
Right. That's true. 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 White power is the worst one. Well, I mean, I mean, historically, white folks do some bad shit sometimes, so we can't ever let them become empowered in their
To,
whiteness.
to be fair, I mean, wasn't it mostly England and Germany? And wasn't England really just ruled by other Germans that came and ruled England?
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
much.
if we really want to trace it back to anything, I think we can put a lot of blame on the Italians and the Germans. I don't even think
Right.
we have to go. I mean, there was a lot of the Swiss fucking shit up.
The Dutch get pretty
Belgium,
bad sometimes. Yeah,
yeah.
Belgium is kind of gangster. They've been gangster for a long time. But I mean, I have to say, it's just the truth of the matter is people do terrible shit. And
People with power.
yeah, powerful people do terrible shit. I mean, we could probably just leave it at that. But I know a lot of people are going to want, more specifics. They want you to lean in a certain way. Nobody just wants to leave the objective fact just hanging there because it makes people want to take responsibility for themselves. And that's bothersome. You know what I mean? So it's better if we can lean it one way or the other, preferably away from me, so I can feel a little better and revel in somebody else possibly feeling worse. That's just part of the dynamic that's happening right now. I mean, apparently white tears are delicious. People just fucking love them.
But isn't that white supremacy that white people's tears are just so much more delicious?
You can't escape it. It keeps looping back around to bite you. You can't get away from it.
Man, these some
Oh,
good ass white tears.
why are the white tears so good?
It's so fucking delicious.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's some really bugged out shit going on in the world right now. I've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy shit. A lot of men versus women stuff is very popular right now. I'm not sure why, but all the red pilling and you know trying to get women to submit and all that shit, like that conversation is heavy on the internet right now. And then we got race back and forth. Coca-Cola's winning right now. They just hit a home run with the bases loaded. So they up by a few points. Coca-Cola's up by a few points right now. I don't even know. I mean, and you know what the sad part is? When you
How many
see,
black people have diabetes because of Coca-Cola?
well, now they're paying their penance. They're paying their penance.
But they're not changing their formula.
Well, that's fine as long as they're embarrassing and stressing white people out in their, in their offices. You got to sit through this teleprompter, this fucking PowerPoint that tells you to be less white. And like I said, the worst part about that shit is everybody, everybody non-white, and all the white people who are doing some of the work and kind of in tune with how the world actually is and not what people want you to believe it is, all of them knew exactly what that sentence meant. Be less white. The people who are angry about it, they're thinking, how do I be less of the color that I am? But everybody else is thinking about whiteness as a concept. See, when I saw "be less white," I knew what that meant. But the people who were talking shit about it on YouTube, that I don't think they complete, or they're just feigning ignorance. I don't think they completely
Yes,
got.
they're feigning ignorance.
Okay, they're feigning ignorance, so they know
Absolutely.
exactly what it meant. They're just like, "How am I
Absolutely.
supposed to be less white?"
White
See,
secrets.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why your tears are delicious.
It,
See?
it it's absolutely feigning ignorance. And we know it's the same thing that if you are not black, you will absolutely be called a racist. But if you do the same thing of characterizing something as black, colloquially amongst a group of friends, everybody will know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
It is absolutely down to a trope. It's a cliche in the comedy world. Everybody knows, but we pretend that we don't think in these terms and talk about each other in these terms. And if it's in the context of love and respect and there aren't these other deep rooted issues, right? Then we all kind of know it's trivial dumb shit. But this trivial dumb shit that we're normal people are engaged in, we've now kind of come up with this ridiculously complex religion full of all of this dogma governing the way that we address these concepts, and we all have to pretend that we don't know what we're talking about. There's absolutely a stereotypical uh black authenticity or meter. It
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
exists.
Definitely.
White
Definitely.
people and black people will size you up based on that meter, and you will be clowned. You will be clowned about certain shit that's not perceived as black, and white people will assume certain shit about you if you are, and we all know a certain kind of black guy. There's a
Yeah.
black
Oh
guy
yeah.
that they feel
Yeah.
safe around. There's a black guy that they feel terrified around. We know all this, and it's the same thing with whiteness, and white people know about it. White
Yeah.
people know when it, but my problem is when you're taking these things that are humorous and it doesn't really matter, and maybe it makes people a little bit comfortable. But if we're in the spirit of love and respect, truly trying to bridge the gap to be more understanding of one another and be more comfortable around each other, I'm all for that. But if the end goal is just to take all of the best things about human achievement and call them white and then systematically take them apart to everybody's detriment and then give black people the rest of the shit and make that their identity, that shit is indefensibly racist and unproductive. And that's all I'm seeing is be if you read between the lines and hear what the substance of all of this shit is, that's the underlying theme. This is white people shit, this is black people shit. White people shit is responsible for all the good shit. Black people shit is causing all of the bad shit, but we kind of got to accept it. And we all need to collectively denounce the white shit, even though it helps us, and embrace and make excuses for the black shit, even if it destroys black people. And I think the irony about the Coca-Cola shit is these conversations and these ideas are all coming from the same sectors of society that are going on and on about food deserts and how black people are being poisoned and how fucked up it is that all of this. I think even when we had Surreal on, it's like, people got diabetes in the hood and da da da. Yeah, there's food deserts and there's shit food that people get accustomed to, and Coca-Cola's a part of that.
Oh yeah.
Coke products have absolutely, they got a body count in Black America without a doubt.
Well, to be
There's some
fair,
bodies.
just
Well,
to
all
be
people.
fair,
It's across the board for sure.
but black people drink Pepsi.
For real?
Yeah, black people drink Pepsi. I mean, just to be fair, we want to be accurate here. If Coke may be destroying the health and immune systems of a lot of people, but if we want to talk about who's who's destroying black people, Kool Aid number one, and
Kool-Aid,
Pepsi is a close
Kool-Aid.
second.
Yeah, Kool-Aid is the far,
Well,
far
you
and
know what?
away.
Kool Aid, you can't even blame Kool Aid. You know why? Because you got to add your own sugar.
It's already sugar,
No.
but yeah, there's
Oh,
the
is
added.
it? No,
Yeah,
because Kool Aid is just color.
no, Kool-Aid is sugary powder. The
No,
Kool-Aid.
see, you're talking. Okay, this is a white thing here.
You're talking
This
about the old school packets. I don't even know if they sell those anymore. Do
they
they?
don't. I thought that I haven't even looked in that section of the fucking grocery store.
Well, you're an
Probably
adult male. I would
in
hope.
30 years. So I don't even know. How do they sell? How does Kool Aid have sugar in it now? I can't believe that because the whole point of making Kool Aid is to put the amount of sugar that you want in it. So if they pre-sugar it for you, that's white supremacy. That's them telling you how much you should have. we can't do that. What method did you use to count these? How many grams of sugar is in here? I don't like it. So you just give them the color, and then they do their own sugaring. So
This is an interesting thing because I know a lot of black people that drink Coca-Cola. I was unaware, and I like to fancy myself hip to these sorts of things, but you may be right. I'm not aware of a stark preference. I think it lines up, and there's going to be a pretty small margins between the minority and the majority of Coke versus Pepsi. I'd be interested. I'd like to see people in the comment section putting whether you drink Pepsi or Coke and
mm,
announcing your soup color, specifically if you're minestrone.
yeah, yeah,
If Pepsi or Coke is your preference.
yeah. We need to know because I'm pretty sure my genetic memory tells me that black people drink Pepsi. And when I think about the hood and I think of like all the memories of Pepsi, the only time you get Coke is if you're at an establishment who doesn't serve Pepsi. That's when you drink Coke. When you go to some place, they say actually what you want to drink. You say I want a Pepsi. They go, oh, we have Coke, and you go, okay, I'll take that. But if you're at the store and you're confronted with these 2 liter bottles, yeah, black folks drink Pepsi.
You might be right.
Yeah, as far as I remember, unless something changed in the black community since I was young. I mean, if Kool Aid's got sugar in it now, that means something's going on. This might be a whole nother timeline. We might this might be some fucking
Another ad
Mandela effect
has
shit.
been eaten.
It's the Mandela
Oh,
effect, bro.
that's the dude's name.
Oh God.
His name is Mandela.
We can't do that. We
Yes,
can't
we
we can't
can.
do that.
He
We
is
can't
the
do that.
Mandela effect. He's
That's
eating ass in different timelines.
that's an absolute yeah, that's gonna get somebody in trouble.
Okay,
That ain't right somewhere.
all right, maybe Larry Mandel. We make it more
There we
subtle.
go. There we go. Larry Mandel. I like it. He looks like a Larry too.
It
He
does.
totally looks
He
like a Larry.
absolutely looks like a
I
fucking
can
man.
see somebody walking down the street in an 8 ball jacket and somebody
Larry.
yells out, "Hey yo, Larry!" Like that's how you know it's him. That's perfect. Yeah, you know what? We just intuited that name out of the ether. This is getting realer and realer by the second because that was just the perfect name freestyle right off the top. Yeah, this is getting real.
Yo,
Okay. Is
and
this the key to the simulation? Did we just figure it out?
ass was eaten. We were given the guide stones a little subtly. We didn't even realize it. It's the butterfly effect of ass eating.
This
We
is
get a
how
little bit
ancient knowledge
closer.
used to be passed down. Before we had paper and all of that, this is how we
Oh,
used to do it.
dude. So how long before you think they uncover the Egyptian hieroglyph with a dude sitting on another dude, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on here in this scene? It
That's the
looks
one
like the
that's
other
in the
guy is
Catholic
sitting
Church.
on him.
That was locked away in the Catholic Church. It's in the Vatican. That whole block.
They got that to the Qumran
Yeah.
scrolls.
Yeah,
It's
that
all in the
whole
vault.
block of stone is in the Vatican right now. Trust me.
There's no
And
Essenes. There's no
it's
ancient ass-eating hieroglyphs. None of
no,
it's nothing to see here.
no. Yeah, there's a dude in the Vatican right now who's wearing a corset with razor blades inside of it. Tight. He's in that room guarding it right now, sweating with a self-flagellation thing tied to his waist. He's got his own weapon to beat himself. That's the guy who watches that room.
Nah, they got some telescope looking out into the cosmos with some little Stargate energy machine where they all go there and try to eat each other's ass in the exact way to try to recreate the time warp. They're trying to unlock. They know because they've seen the hieroglyph. They're trying to reproduce it, but they just can't figure out the recipe. But they're not Larry Mandel. They can't do it.
They can't. And they know we're in the last days because it's creeping into everybody's consciousness right now. Imagine that being the thing that's going to lead you to your enlightenment. And that's how we're going to unlock the Stargate, all of that shit. And just people talking about it on Twitter. You'll be like, oh, it's the last days, bro.
It's the Stargate. It's shaped like a star. It's an anus.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
the
that's the true Stargate. The Starfish
true
Gate.
Stargate.
Yeah, imagine seeing that. Imagine you knowing the
Oh
significance of
shit,
it and
dude!
then finding out it's all over
This
Twitter.
has become like a Da Vinci Code type
It is.
storyline
It
at this point.
absolutely is.
It's like, hey man, you ever wonder when you look at a star in the sky, you don't see any points. You just see a little dot. Where do you
Right.
think they got that 5-pointed concept from? It's like,
Right.
I don't know. And then the dude bends over and spreads his butt cheeks.
Right.
Behold, behold the Stargate.
Stargazing.
That's where they got the Pentagon shape from. This is the true Stargate.
Think about it. Star Wars, Star Trek. I'm sure this is on a cue board somewhere.
And when you put it all together, March 4th. March 4th. If you
That's the date of the 88th, the 88th past self happens on. That's what comes up at the bottom of the screen on the last episode of the show, March 4th.
shit. March 4th, 21. So if you add 4 plus 3, March 4th, you get 7, but then subtract the year 21, 2, 1, 3, you get back to 4.
See?
What? Trust me.
Trust
Look
me.
at my asshole again.
Let me think. I need to get another vision.
Let me show you again. Let me show you.
I thought you got visions by actually eating that. Like, no. You gotta. I'll get a vision if you get mine. That's
This story's just always evolving and changing. Yo, this is a Da Vinci Code type thriller to unlock the mysteries of the universe in the most gross possible way.
gosh,
It's
dude.
great.
And it's
That's-
horrible because this guy, what does he know? Like, what is he doing right now? Does he know he's inspired? You know, one of the greatest science fiction tales the man's ever known. This is the new hero's journey, bro. This is the new hero's journey right here. Right? You got to make 88 versions of your past self
Holy shit.
perform the Stargate on you.
And ain't there like 88 keys on a piano?
Of
I don't know.
course
I
there
feel like there's so many things we could do with that number.
Yeah, of
and
course
it's
there are,
two
bro.
infinities.
Right.
8 is a vertical infinity.
And I'm sure there's a way to tie in how there's messages in Back to the Future because the DeLorean has to go 88 miles an hour and shit. I'm sure you could tie all of that back into them. They were trying to give us signs back then.
Okay, and what else? And when somebody bends over to show you their 5-pointed Stargate, what do you see right dangling right below it? An 8. You see an 8 right there.
It's an 8. It's a long, saggy 8.
A hairy.
It's like an 8 in a bag. It's like a heavy 8 in a bag.
In his 8-ball jacket.
Oh my gosh, dude. I love it.
There's a whole mythology there.
And it doesn't work without the 8-ball jacket. That's what ties it all together. He can't be wearing nothing else. It wouldn't make any sense if he was wearing anything else.
That's a great conspiracy theory. Like to do that whole thing with loose change You know, like that same style of just narrating it over the grainy footage.
Right.
Like on September 18th, 2020, a time traveler in an 8-ball jacket was getting his ass eaten at at the blah 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 train station.
By who
Blah
we would
blah
later
blah.
figure out was his past self.
To get into the mythology of the Stargate, the
Yeah.
Catholics have been looking for it. What the 8 really means. There's 88 keys on a piano.
You gotta
It's so much.
yeah, it's beautiful. That the 8 jacket is that's what ties it all. That's the anchor. That's the anchor for the whole thing, bro. The 8-ball jacket. I fucking love it. I love it. He's too good, bro. This is gonna happen. I feel it. Somebody out there is gonna help us make it happen because it's just too smart. It's too smart. This is science fiction. This is the future of science fiction. You got to start photoshopping this guy into the background of world events.
He's on the grassy knoll.
He was there all the time.
It's
He's
just
always there. No matter where you look, you'll find him. You'll find him, dude. March 4th.
Dude,
March 4th.
I'm not gonna get I'm at a point where I don't get bothered by none of this shit anymore. I've truly I've truly let all of this shit go. If we're talking about it, you know, I may get a little riled up, but I'm not thinking about this shit no more, man. There was
Yeah.
a time where they got me tuned in, and I feel like I was really losing my mind, um, trying to engage all this shit. And finally, I was like, this shit is all nonsense. This is a waste of my time to engage. I
Yeah.
need to figure out how to animate 8-ball time traveler. That's what I need to do. I can't if Coca-Cola and the school system is firing people over the Wakanda salute. I don't have the energy to get upset about it. I just don't care. I feel sorry for whoever's affected it in a negative way. For people that are outraged about it, I feel you. I don't care. I just truly don't care. Not enough that I would argue with somebody about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're better off in every way for realigning yourself. I'm guaranteeing.
Infinitely better
Yeah.
off.
Better all the way around. No matter how you look at it, you're better off because we already we talked about this. This is an absolute pillar. Is that anything that triggers you, at first it's your problem. It has to be your problem first. You got to figure out why seeing something on the internet or hearing somebody's opinion or hearing just anything like that would give you an actual physical reaction, a negative physical reaction to what these people are thinking or what these people are doing. So you got to first explore why is it giving you an issue. And I think the inevitable conclusion is once you think about it enough, you have to stop caring. Once you put it in your own lap and say, why is this pissing me off? Like, oh, this shit is stupid. Never mind. That's really the only place to come to. Even if you first go, well, it's because these people are terrible and they're horrible and they can't think like this and these are stupid opinions. You just got to keep wondering why. But why does it bother you, though? Yeah, but they got stupid opinions. I know, but why are you mad? Because they said that cis white males. Yeah. But why are you mad though? What's upsetting you? And eventually, you got to get to a place where you stop caring. You have to, or you don't survive it. Because this shit is enough of it out here to drive you fucking mad. Or you're gonna start marching around with tiki torches or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else do you have left? You're gonna start throwing Molotov cocktails in no time. If you consume enough of this shit, something's gonna make you mad enough to feel like the only thing to do is to just go, aggressively create a situation. I'm just gonna go out and, say the N word in public and see if I can get somebody to start a fight with me. Or I'm gonna go eat chicken in front of a vegan protest and they're gonna get pissed and like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Go sit down somewhere. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I've seen that recently too. That's a big one going around. Is these a bunch of women were protesting for veganism, and there's a whole bunch of dudes with like KFC, just ironically KFC, just eating it right in their faces. And it's like, first of all, y'all out here bugging out about what other people are eating. Second of all, y'all out here grouped up eating something that you think they're not gonna like seeing you eat. And this is how humans are engaging with each other in the real world. Shit don't make no sense.
And it's disgusting. and you're doing horrible things to your body.
Oh, please.
KFC has to be one of the worst things you could ingest. Like there's a lot of bad food. You know, maybe when you're young you can metabolize it. If you're past 35, you should never go near a KFC.
Oh my God.
It's never leaving your system
It's gonna be with you for the rest of your life.
for the rest of your life. It puts, I'd say every time you eat KFC, you get like 3 nano inches of diameter closed on your circulatory system. It's just a little bit, but it's enough to coat an entire layer. It course is so it's so disgusting. It's so much starch. It's so much grease.
That'd be
It's a terrible idea.
that'd be a good that'd be a good T-shirt. Like if you're over, or just an advertisement to put out into the world on the internet. If you're over 35 and you eat fast food, it's never leaving your body. It's
It's a
going to be
part
with
of
you for
you.
the rest of your life. That's amazing. That's such a beautiful statement, and it is probably depending on what else you do. Like if you're at the gym all the time and you do a bunch of sit-ups and shit, and you be running and all that, like you might be able to get away with it. But like
Yes.
regular people, it's probably true that if after a certain age, if you eat some shit like that, your body just can't even deal with it, and now it just lives with you.
Yeah, your body can't metabolize it and break it down. That's why once you get to a certain age too, like you gotta chill with drugs. Like your body can't handle all that coke. What are you doing? What are you
Right.
doing? Your 20-year-old body was struggling with that. You almost had a heart attack at 20, and you're doing this at 47? What are you thinking?
You almost had a heart attack at 20. That's American reality right now. That's American reality. People are fucked up by the age, 25, 30 years old because the regular norm that nobody's supposed to question is like some of the worst possible shit. I saw some shit today about some like the FDA wars that happened in the early days of Food and Drug Administration, like all the shit that they were outlawing and all the things that was going on. Yo, it's some ignorant shit in the history of how people have been dealing with food in this country. And it's not much better now, but it is super stupid. Super stupid. They had court cases over butter versus margarine because when people were making butter, somebody came up with the idea to make margarine, so the butter companies sued them because people were going to confuse which one was which, butter and margarine, and it was going to cut into their butter hustle. But it's like if somebody else makes something that people want, doesn't that just cut into your hustle? Isn't that's just how it goes, right? Like if
And
you make
ironically enough, it ended up being worse for you because the vegetable oil is way worse for you than the
oh yeah,
animal
yeah.
fat.
Right. But I mean, this is just an alternative. If some people liked it, they want to taste it, oh, it's good, whatever. It don't really get, it never gets a hard like butter. Even if you put it in the fridge, margarine still stays soft. It's like, that's just how it rolls. But they had real court cases over this shit because they were so, like, if you make a phone that has a cord and then another company makes a phone that's cordless, do you get to sue them? Because they made something different and people are going to like it and that's going to fuck up your business?
But good sir, this is America. You get to sue anybody for any fucking reason.
Right.
It's at
Yeah.
least going to court.
The government put a tax on margarine and made margarine companies dye their shit pink. They because butter said they owned yellow. You can't make a yellow spreadable food. That's our shit. That's you. That's our territory. So they made them sell pink butter. I mean pink margarine.
More
They,
more big butter. Just big butter dominating,
yeah, you think
controlling the
big farm
government.
is bad? Fucking big butter's the worst.
It's
Big dairy.
a monopoly. I mean, I didn't even know there was such like. Aren't there several companies making butter? Like they formed a
Yeah, it
Voltron
was
Butter
right. It was
Collective
just a
to
butter
represent
union.
themselves.
Yeah, I'm just a butter union gang, butter mafia. Just was like, we got to set our differences aside and take out these margarine fuckers. Like margarine. That was their worries back then. Make it a different color because if people don't know which is which, we're gonna lose money. But this is the world. This is the simulation, bro.
That's
Butter
al-
wars.
that's almost as dumb as having all of your food prepared in gelatin. It's almost.
Almost.
It's not even, but you give it to the gelatin one because at least it's creative. at least it's funny to look at if you want to gross yourself out. I would never ingest it under any circumstance.
No, I
I
mean,
might even resort to cannibalism first. If it's
I don't know. No.
apocalyptic, somebody drops, and we don't know what we're gonna do with, they already dropped. There's nothing could be done. It's apocalyptic, but we enter into a factory, and it's just what is it? Aspectic? What is it
As,
called?
aspic.
Aspic, and it's just treasure troves of chunky tuna and chicken and pork encased in cute little shapes of aspic. I don't know, man. I might fry up a thigh. I might
Nah,
fry
you
up
know
a
what?
human thigh.
Nah, dude. It depends on what's in it. It totally depends on what's in it. If it's some weird shit, or you're not gonna tell me what's in it, then I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. But I mean, like I might not be opposed to it if it was presented the right way, as long as it's not green.
Listen, I guarantee you in the future, Aspec is
Aspic's
gonna.
coming back.
It's
Yeah.
not only is it coming back, it's gonna come back because no one is gonna really want to know where the meat is coming from. And so what they're gonna do is they're gonna give you Aspec with mystery meat, but it's gonna be shaped like the meat you've come to know and love.
Right. Oh yeah.
But
Yep.
it's not really going to be that. It might be lab meat, it might be some Wuhan meat. You're never going to know, but there's enough aspect around it, and it's in a cute enough shape that you're just going to eat the butterfly and you don't care. It was colorful, it was creative, and it was some kind of protein, and you're not going to ask too many questions.
I
The
don't know.
future is aspect.
I feel like that you're right. I feel like you're right. I feel like eventually the vegans are gonna guilt so many people. They're gonna start putting some dents in the meat thing and the heart attacks and the well, we don't. There's no more. Apparently, there's no more heart attacks and no more heart disease and no more diabetes. They're at a record lows right now for some strange reason. I don't know. But like I was saying, everything that these people are doing is gonna put such a dent in the production and the culture, and maybe they're going to call eating meat white supremacy. I'm sure that's already happening. And it's going to get so bad that nobody's going to want to know where the meat came from. So they're going to say we have lab grown meat, and it's like a perfect mix of everything. So we don't even have to put out two types. We don't got to put out like a red one and a white one for beef and for chicken. Like it's just perfect right down the middle. It tastes like everything at the same time. And you just use that for everything. And just to hide it, because we don't want shapes no more. We can't do shapes because that reminds us of being cut from an animal and killed, and so it's just going to be meat sleeve with aspic molds. Just a sleeve of meat with aspic molds,
I feel
and you
like there's
just
a
inject
porno
it
out
in
there
there.
that's called meat sleeve.
I'm not going to Google it.
I can't prove it, but I feel like there is.
I should though, just for the
I
fun of it.
feel like I feel like there's totally been a movie called Meat Sleeve.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's too good, right? Okay, let's see. Meat sleeve, Urban Dictionary. Well, of course. Oh, bro. Yeah, the first entry is Urban Dictionary, but
Yeah,
there is somebody who sells uh packaging. This is in the UK. Plain sleeves, sausage meat sleeve from Scoby's Direct. Fill your stuffings and sausage meats in these high quality meat sleeves. So it's
sign
actually a
me up.
real thing. So I
Sign
was
me
right.
up.
Yeah. See? Did you?
I got one better, so that it doesn't remind us of animals. It'll just start being really innocuous objects, like a soccer ball, a television remote, a shopping cart, just obscure shit. And but you won't know what the mean is. But they'll just be objects. We'll just eat objects filled with laboratory protein.
I like the idea of shapes. I like shapes. I like that you can go up to the counter and order triangle or square.
let me get
I just want mine in triangles. Could I have three triangles?
let me get three triangles of the tri meat, the pork, the pork
No, the meat
chicken
is the
beef
shape.
hybrid.
It is the shape. Give me three
Oh, it's
pieces of
not talking about
circle.
in the aspect.
No, three pieces of circle. I want three slices of circle and
Oh,
two
even
slices of
better.
square.
Okay.
That's how you get your different flavors and types. We don't call them flavors. We don't
Oh,
say beef or chicken or pork. You get circle, square, or triangle.
That is great.
Yeah, that's brilliant, bro. I love it. See, it's already fixed. We're solving the world's problems.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
not
this
going
is
to be
what
a
you do.
tasty world.
This is how we stop killing animals. Well, we may not because that's probably still what's going to be in there, but we're not going to tell people that.
You're
We're going
not
to
going
tell.
to tell. You're not going to tell senators they can't eat babies. Let's not get hasty here.
Yeah, we like. Yeah, you. What are you trying to do? Wreck the whole thing?
You trying to clap the system?
Trying to collapse the whole system? You're going to tell the Hollywood elite that they can't drink freaking adrenochrome?
Adrenochrome.
What are you
Yeah.
doing? Nah, we just want to shake things up. We don't want to topple the whole system. That's not what we do. We need a smooth transition. Are they even doing adrenochrome anymore? I thought Hollywood's like, is that finished or did that stop? Because now we're just on the president for some reason. Everybody stopped with all the, nobody's crying on TikTok about babies anymore. Now it's all about Joe Biden.
I gotta say, I was caught up in the whirlwind of madness for a while. The runaway slave catcher was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. He was like, Pinky, all of this shit is gonna go right back to normal. Nobody gives a fuck. No, bro, you don't understand. This shit was in front of everybody. Everybody saw it. There was shenanigans. People are pissed. Bro, bro, ain't shit gonna happen. This is the game. This is the game. And you know
Yeah.
what? He was absolutely right. It is all 100% absolutely back to normal like nothing happened. And you're absolutely right. What a convenient change of focus that it was all about saving the kids, stopping the baby eating, reclaiming adrenochrome for our adrenal glands. And now it's about an old man who remembers every once in a while that he is in fact the president.
Every once in a while.
Every
Yeah,
once
that's
in a while.
amazing. They put the kids right on the back burner.
Doesn't even matter anymore. It's not even like that's not even part of the plan anymore. Like
Yeah,
at one
nobody's talking
point,
about that shit. It just went
everybody
away.
was everybody was going to prison for the kid touching at one point. That's not even on the table anymore.
Now it's March 4th.
I don't know, man. But I tell you what. Did you see him drop the N bomb?
Who?
Joe Biden, President
No,
Joe
he
Biden.
didn't.
Absolutely.
No, he didn't. Was he singing the NWA
Absolutely.
song?
Absolutely. No, it was totally a misspeak. It's not at all what he meant to
No.
say.
When? When was it? Did it just happen or is it old
It,
footage?
it it was within the last week. It was at a press conference. He was given an answer. He stumbled over his word and he said it so clearly that when YouTube did the closed captioning for it, it spelled it out. Hard
So if I
R.
Google Joe Biden nigger right now,
Accidentally says.
oh, I gotta add accidentally says. Okay, Snopes says it's false.
Yeah, but
Oh no,
Snopes
and
is
that
full of shit.
says did Joe Biden use racial slurs referring to black people during a Senate committee hearing in 1985? That's not what I'm talking about. What are they doing here? Okay, 3 days ago, fumbles during his speech.
Yep. That
Oh
would
my
be it. I
gosh.
saw it. I saw it on Crowder. They played the footage, so it's definitely real. I never seen the clip isolated, but clips get scrubbed so fast from the internet. I have to go to people that hate the dude to find it because they'll find it and they'll preserve it. So if I want to know some shit that the left's trying to hide, I check Gavin McGinnis, I check Dinesh D'Souza, I check Steven Crowder. They'll have it. If I want to know some shit about the right, I just watch regular news. Everything about the right is horrific. They're terrorists. They're homegrown terrorists. They're the
Yeah.
greatest threat to democracy. We have to have DC as a green zone with 30,000 troops. There's no other way because they're terrifying terrorists.
Well, I agree for the most part. I mean, that's just what it is. We have to accept the truth. And didn't the FBI or what was it? Was it the FBI or somebody say that the most dangerous thing in America right now was homegrown terrorism?
Yes, yeah,
Well, you gotta
absolutely.
trust. I mean, you gotta trust the FBI, right?
They've never been wrong.
They've always been on the up and up, right?
They helped the civil rights movement progress.
As far as I
Uh,
know.
yeah,
I mean, I mean, if there's any institution that non-white people go to for accurate information and truisms, it's got to be the FBI.
Yeah, Fred Hampton shot first. Absolutely.
I mean, is there any other even option? I mean, it's the FBI. Come on, what are we talking about here?
Come
Who can you trust
on.
if you can't trust the FBI, dude? Fuck, all these procedural documentaries. You see what they do? Special Victims Unit. They help people. They help people. It's fucking FBI. What are we talking about? It's not like it's the NAACP or something. It's a real organization. It's a real lettered organization. Yeah, but I mean, if they say that that white terrorism, white homegrown terrorism, is the biggest threat to America, I gotta say I believe them. I mean, what else could it possibly be? It's not.
Probably the government itself, but that's hearsay.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
just that's a little fringe right there.
that's speculative crazy talk. That's March 4th talk.
I mean, the only other possible is gang violence, but that's not really because they're just killing each other, so that's not really that bad.
And I think 2020 was a record. I
A,
think
re-
I
a
think we set a
record
record.
deaths
Uh,
in urban areas.
most black men, women, and children murdered by gun violence, and I think we set the record last year.
Wow, you mean white people set the record?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you
I
were
meant
saying.
as a country,
Oh, okay, I got you, got you.
as a country, we put numbers on the board.
Okay, whose numbers are those though?
It's
Did we add them, or because if we set records, are we using 1+1 is 3 to figure out how many black
that's
people were killed
that's a
by
good
gun
point.
violence?
That's
Is
a good point.
because hey, I don't know. These are the questions that have to be asked when math becomes racist. We got to figure this out. We got to figure this out because it sounds like some 1+1 = 3 business. If I
Yeah,
have to say, well,
think
depends.
2019 was like around 7,000. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm never gonna find it in the Google search. I have to get back to you on that. But in my podcast venturing, that was a statistic that popped up that 2020 was like the worst on record.
Wow.
That it was pretty bad. And we kind of saw it coming because if you remember at the beginning of the year, um places like New York was reporting like a 35% increase in 1 month in the homicide rate. Like there was like big chunky bursts of up and I assume um is probably gang related violence. I would assume, but I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I
I, I,
mean,
I just know for the year that we declared as a society in the most vocal and Molotov ways possible that Black Lives Mattered, we may have just lived through the year where the most black people got murdered uh, in since we've been keeping stats. So how's that to define the age of just um, of this whole era? Like literally the thing that we declared the most, we failed at the most.
and in a time when it's the most dangerous to be alive and breathing air and shit, still the thing that kills the most, even with all the fudge numbers. Because there was a time early uh, last year when this whole pandemic business first started that there was a lot of talk going around about who was going to be the primary victims because of because it's all genetically modified and it's a weapon. So it was definitely a weapon to kill a specific demographic. I don't know how that's held up so far. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but something tells me that never panned out.
Well, um I think that you have the way that they tried to spin it was black people just aren't getting access to healthcare. That's why there was disproportional numbers. I think a more scientific, even though I know it's white supremacy, um, explanation would be the vitamin D aspect. It's harder for black people to get vitamin D. Um, it's easier for white people to get cancer, from the sun, but they also absorb vitamin D more. So if you're not out in the sun for a really long extended period of time, so you're not taking a vitamin D supplement or not eating a lot of fish, then I think that that gives a more of an explanation of why it would be um, maybe more detrimental, because they've made a connection between vitamin D and your susceptibility to the disease.
Right.
So I don't know. That makes sense to me, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not a white supremacist. So
Yeah, I was about to say. I was about to say. Yeah, they've been talking a bunch of shit about it. So like I said, I don't think it panned out the way they intended it to, because it seems to be everything. Like I said, everything else has had record lows, because everything is getting filed under. Well, not filed under. Let's not get into conspiracy theory territory, but
no,
everything
but
else is
you're
being
right.
associated with COVID.
Yeah, but
So
that's already been like a thing that came out, that the numbers were fudged. I think when it was all said and done, and I could be mistaken, but I think it was a paper either from the CDC or the WHO. I want to say it was the CDC, where they said only 6% of all of the corona deaths weren't comorbidities. In
mm,
other words, only 6% were people actually just dying of corona, not dying from something else why they had corona. So
right.
6% is a infinitesimal compared to fucking the numbers that were blown out. So I definitely think it was an opportunity to try to get more control, and they wanted that as inflated as possible. And I can't for the life of me figure out why they're throwing Cuomo under the bus. He was beloved. They're talking about bringing him up on like charges. They're talking
Hey,
crazy right now.
yeah. Was it because what is it? Is that the guy who did the nursing home thing?
The governor of New York, and the trans woman that's the assistant health whatever.
Yeah.
While she worked, I think it was in Michigan. I'm not sure. Um, when she got word of where the people were going into the nursing homes, she took her mother out of the nursing home. So she
Wow.
knew. So these were all people that were protecting their own loved ones and not having them in the nursing home, while sending people that they knew that would be a problem to them. So I mean, I don't know how it's not criminal negligence, because that's not something that they just figured out. Like, oh, word, this kills old people. Like that's something they knew right from the giddy up, and they went ahead and they did it anyway. And so
It's fucking amazing. It's amazing. I don't even know what the supposed logic is of doing something like that, let alone trying to figure somebody saying what the nefarious underlying purpose is. What do you even tell people you're doing when you make that kind of decision? With the knowing the information that you have versus the choice that you made, what's the excuse? What's the cover?
I mean, I have not heard an official explanation. Um, I
Yeah.
know that this was something that's been known for a while, and the media's run cover for it. I just don't understand why now all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a problem." We knew about this for almost a year now.
Right.
People were talking about this for a year, and it went completely un. Not only did it go completely unignored, these motherfuckers gave him an Emmy. They
Oh
gave
man.
him an Emmy. He's never acted in a television show ever. They gave him an Emmy, and he wrote a book. I'm super awesome. I did great shit with the coronavirus. I'm awesome. He wrote a book. He wrote a book and he won an Emmy after we knew all of these people died in nursing homes, and why New York had such a huge number relative to the rest of the country. It was all the majority from the nursing homes. And when one of his aides got, like, I guess, interviewed, they were questioned and they were like, well, why didn't you disclose this before? They're like, well, we didn't want it to be used against us if there was going to be any criminal charges. Like, that's not how
Wait.
you answer the question.
So you snitching on yourself in the book and you just admitted it?
It was dry snitching. The,
Yeah, that's transition.
they didn't.
American crisis. Leadership lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me show you how to do this, son. Let me show you how we get down over here. Send them back. Fuck it.
Highest
That's
death rate.
gangster, bro. Gosh, yeah. I don't even. I don't know. I don't know.
But
Yeah,
here's one. Here's one, and this is why I'll never completely throw away the March 4th people. I'll tell them when I think they're a little bit of full of shit, but I won't completely throw them away. You remember that video with that young kid just beating the shit out of that old man, just wailing on him? I
yeah.
think it was out of Michigan. He was sent there under like that same premise. Like they weren't just sending people that already had COVID-19 that were like elderly and in the nursing home. They were housing some of these like younger patients with COVID-19, sending them to the nursing home. Like should have never
Wow.
even been there. And so then you kind of be like, that's got to be conspiratorial. You had a giant fucking ship. You had a giant boat with barely anybody on it. You could have quarantined those people on the boat, but you were like, nah, you sailed that boat all the way here for no reason. I don't got nobody for you.
Yeah.
Like you could have sent people to the boat, but you sent them to the nursing home anyway. That kind of tells me that the national agenda was Trump's got to look bad at any cost, and people are going to die from this shit anyway. What's the harm in padding the numbers and maybe making decisions that you can't prove are criminally negligent, or it's going to be up for debate whether I even get charged as being criminally negligent, but it'll definitely pad the numbers so we got a nice little death spike. And we're really sacrificing people that are, not living the highest quality of life right now anyway. So I don't see how that could be anything other than a horrifically nefarious and calculated decision. That's
Dude.
that. There's no way that's an oopsie.
Yeah, it feels like it's too easy in that direction because like I said, I'd love to hear what the supposed logic was. Because that sounds like a death sentence to me. If you have all the information that was available at the time was accurate enough to tell you that that was a bad decision. So
And there was alternative resources.
was there any misinformation like, oh, some people say this, some people say that, so I did that because of it? Like I don't even understand what his story could be. And second of all, does he have a TV show?
No, but he won an Emmy. Do
All
you
right,
understand what
so
I'm saying?
I didn't really know exactly what an Emmy was, so I just searched it because I know it's an award, but I didn't know exactly what for. But an Emmy is an award for television,
Yeah,
prime time and daytime. So that's like the soap operas and the TV, all that. So how? What?
he was
Why?
on the news.
Okay.
I
Oh,
mean, if that isn't a confession that our news has our the news in this country has nothing to do with informing the public, I don't know what else is just a brazen confession of the uselessness of news. We're basically saying, yeah, it's just a show. It's just daytime television. It's not anywhere that any halfway intelligent person should ever go to find information. That's not what this is.
okay.
You
So
can watch CNN or you can watch The Young and the Restless. You'll be equally informed.
okay, but there is a news and documentary section of the Emmy Awards. There is
I
a
haven't
news.
really looked into it. What was his Emmy for? I mean, was because I don't know of any documentary he did other than just showing up on the news. They
Right, and even
interviewed him.
showing up on the news shouldn't make you nominate. Like the people who are on the news all the time should be the ones who get the Emmys, right? And the people who make the
You
show is
would
not like
think.
a guest. The person who like know, like
that's
the people who actually work on the news.
that's a
Okay,
swinging dick. You just show
Andrew,
up, you're the guest. You just like, yeah,
and I get
I'm
the
gonna get
Emmy.
the Emmy. Not
A-
Anderson Cooper, not Jake Tapper, Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo to receive international Emmy for master. It gets better. That wasn't even the
It's not
punch.
even a regular
That,
Emmy.
that wasn't even the punch.
International.
International Emmy for masterful COVID-19 briefings. Masterful briefings. Holy shit. That's like Hulk Hogan winning an Emmy for all the shit he used to talk with Mean Gene
Right.
threatening people. Those were masterful promos, Macho Man Randy Savage. You get the international
You're
Emmy
getting an international Emmy for news.
for talking shit. The briefings. Gosh, bro. I don't know. What else is there to say? This is what they gave you. They gave you an open face shit sandwich. They ain't even hide it with the top piece of bread. They just gave you an open. Hey, what can you do? I gotta respect the gumption at that point. They
it's
don't give a
it's
shit.
it's really, dude, it's really brazen because it was known then, but it's actually being admitted to now that he literally handled it worse than anybody, arguably with a degree of criminal negligence. And he won a fucking Emmy for giving masterful briefings on it. And he wrote a book. He's the only one that wrote a book on how to handle it. He's the only one that won an Emmy for his briefings about it. And he literally did worse than anyone that was in a position of leadership that had to deal with it. I mean, it's up is down, down is up. It's bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter. It's literally the opposite of what actually happened, and that's what is being broadcast and accepted by like broader culture. The only hope is to go within. That's it. It's it. It's the only thing that can save you. I love the conversation that we had last week with Surreal, and I do agree. You know, the news is just like advertising for get people to buy bad shit, not have good habits. Those same mechanisms that inform people to be self-destructive consumers is the same mechanisms that cause people to be self-destructive thinkers and uninformed and led astray by all this shit. And it is absolutely unfair. It is despicable. It's disgusting. There's no redemptive quality about it. I can't help to look at it, but all is just evil and nefarious. But at the same time, there's nothing that you're going to produce within those mechanisms that's going to get the ball rolling in the other direction. Where butter advertisers are just going to say, yeah, we're not going to kill you and try to take out margin out the game. We're no, we're not, no, by any means necessary. We got to kill our competitors. Margin is like the Bloods. We're like the Crips. Fuck them. We got to get this butter on your plate by any means. It's never going to happen. That machinery and those people that are behind that machinery, they're never going to change the goals of the machinery. It's never going to happen. So the only hope is the advertisers are never going to advertise for you in a way that gives a fuck about you as the bottom line. You just have to, within yourself, cultivate a character and an awareness that you're not going to be manipulated by it. They're never going to do it for you. You're going to have to choose not to get diabetes. You're going to have to choose to fucking do some other shit besides play PlayStation and do some research so you can see how much you're being lied to. But they're never going to do it for you. They're going to keep lying to your face. They're going to, that is the best metaphor I think I've heard ever. An open-faced shit sandwich. We're not even gonna put a piece of bread on top. We're just showing up. It's a big turd on some lettuce, tomato, and a piece of bread. And my game is so strong that I don't gotta put the piece of bread on top.
No, for what?
I've got you thinking that this is really some delicious shit. I'm gonna have you eating triangles, squares, and starfish in about 6-8 months.
Right, just give me a minute. I got this shit. I got it all lined up for you. You just wait. You mad now? You just wait till you see what's coming down the pipeline.
Well, why? Why would they throw him under the bus now? That's what I don't get.
I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. The whole thing don't make a lot of sense. Maybe, I mean, other than if you start to factor in some of the fringe conspiracy theory shit, maybe it'll make more sense. We can't like totally throw it away because some of the simulation is stranger than fiction. Some of the shit that's objectively going on in the world is stranger than fiction, dude. So we might have to start weaving in some of the other concepts. I mean, Yakub is starting to make a lot more sense right now. To keep it real.
is starting to make a lot more sense to me.
And we've been talking about a time traveling salad tosser for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gotten the most airtime, I think, of anything. There's never been a topic that's
Right.
been referenced more in
Right. It
the
can't. It
episode.
won't go away. Since we talked about it, it's been mentioned in every
He's,
episode
he's
since.
the mainstay.
You see what I'm saying? The simulation is trying harder and harder to get us to wake up and see what's going on. It's like, do you think this can really? What are the odds that this shit could happen outside of a mathematical simulation equation? When you see shit like that, it's like it almost guaranteed. When the guy who killed the most people and handled the situation worse wins an Emmy for giving masterful briefings and fucking writes a book on how to handle these situations, bro, yeah, it's trying to tell us something.
It absolutely is. And you want to know what convinced me of the Yakubian trickery? When they found a sheep with fucking 80 pounds of wool.
Oh,
If that's not the product of scientific meddling, I don't know what is. And then when you told me that shit, it's like, yeah, we've bred sheep so that they get the maximum amount of wool. Oh no, it's terrible. If they were ever to be in nature, they were fucked.
right.
So one sheep escaped and got away and came back looking ridiculous. Like, I don't know how you didn't get eat. I don't know how you weren't just the
Oh,
easiest prey if you were weighed down by 70 or 80 pounds of wool.
bro, there are bushes over there in the UK. These thistle bushes, these big thorn bushes, and they call them killers. They say that the thorn bushes are what you call it, are predators, because the sheep who escape or get lost, when they get so much wool on them, they try to move past the thorn bushes and get tangled in them and end up dying from either getting stabbed by the thorns or starving to death. And the thorn bushes grow enormous because the sheep dies and compost right on top of it. It decomposes into the soil and feeds the thorn bush, and then it explodes and grows. It's like it caught the sheep and ate it like a Venus flytrap and then got bigger. So it could catch more fucking sheep. It's ridiculous. Humans do the dumbest shit ever, and then they look around wondering how shit got so stupid.
Yeah, I think even if it and this is the great thing about mythology, even if it's not true, there's truth in it.
Right.
So even if you don't believe 66 trillion years ago, Yakub started getting down in the laboratory, um, that impulse within humans to just tinker with things to the point that we have horrifically terrible unintended consequences, it's seen in the 70-pound wool sheep that's
Right.
immobile. I mean, how do you navigate around in that shit? He looked like he had a big ass parka jacket on.
Right.
It's
It
unnatural.
sucks. It's probably stressful. It probably hurts and shit. It flies laying eggs in it. It's excruciating.
Uh,
It's gotta
uh.
be. It's gotta be. But this is what humans do. And then they show themselves on the opposite end of the problem they created, solving the problem, and they want praise for it. So you breed sheep to where they can't survive because they grow so much wool, and then you want people to cheer for you because you sheared them.
We shared the sheep. Yeah,
Bro,
you got 80 pounds of wool out of it. You good.
exactly. You started this whole shit, bro. You domesticate horses, and then you find out that if they're not running and active, that their fucking hooves just keep growing. They'll curl up like fingernails on strange people. So you gotta shear it all off. You gotta cut it all off with tools and shit, and then put a nail of fucking metal shoe to the bottom of the horse's foot, and that's human ingenuity.
I never knew that that's why we did that.
Yeah, because they'll grow like toenails, bro. They'll just keep growing and curl up, and the horse can't even walk. It'll just lay down and die. And that's because they're domesticated and they don't get enough exercise. They don't run. They don't do shit. But they learn how to prance and fucking promenade. And then they get
Well,
their hair
okay.
braided and shit.
So so you're saying you don't want to live in a world where we have dressage? That's what you're
Well,
saying?
maybe not for animals. If I mean, if we got animal fashion shows, I feel like we're fucking up. We should have better shit to do.
I think we should meddle with nature We should follow the Yakubian instinct until we make dogs with flat faces that can't breathe, and we should prance them around in shows, and we should show off our Hitlerian impulse to practice eugenics on God's creatures and
Right.
make them better. And by better, I mean make it so they can't survive, but they look
Without
really
us.
good. They look really good in the show. And what a great metaphor for the whole way that we solve problems, right? Like the sheep was made incapable of surviving so that he could yield the maximum benefit to the people that designed him. Like that's all of us,
Right.
unhappy and overworked and stressed out and eating shit food, and our problems are solved in ways like, okay, well, I get sick, it's cool, the food is poisoning you, the job gives you the health care, the doctor gives you some ridiculous shit that if you were just healthy you wouldn't even need, and everybody gets to make money on your misery the whole time. Feed you shit food, stress you out at a meaningless job, get the insurance to go pay for overpriced healthcare, and every step of the way you're being sheared, and you got a whole bunch of extra wool that's just holding you down and suffocating you, and as you very graphically detailed, shit laying eggs in it. Shit is laying eggs in your wool, son.
Just laying eggs in your wool, G. Yo, and this is what humans do. Period. That we're doing it to the animals. We're doing it to ourselves. It's amazing. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. They create the problem and then solve it on the other end and want you to praise them for solving the problem they created. Yeah. Wolves have 10 genetic disorders, around 10, 15 genetic disorders in wild wolves, 700 in domesticated dogs. But somehow we're better for it, right? Oh, look at all these breeds we made. We got Dobermans, we got all, but 700 genetic disorders that
all your
don't
dogs,
exist in the wild.
all your dogs got Tay Sachs, son. It's Tay Sachs, brittle bone dogs.
Oh
They
my
got
God.
problems.
Oh well, yeah, I love Rottweilers, but they get hip dysplasia. What? The fuck is going? What are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna spend 4 grand. I got to get my dog's nasal passages open so he can breathe
Yeah,
and doesn't die.
yeah.
I'm
This
gonna take
French
him in for
bulldog,
surgery tomorrow.
he probably has an excruciating existence because he can't breathe. He probably almost dies every night while he's sleeping, several times. But if you steal one from Lady Gaga, she'll put up a $500,000 reward for it.
And maybe 66 trillion years ago, there wasn't a scientist named Yakub, but the Yakubian impulse and the handiwork of
Yeah.
Yakubian thinking is it's very much
It's
alive.
prevalent. It's
It's
right here in
present.
front of our face. There's a reason why this story stuck around that long. There's a reason why you can't just throw it away like, no, this is stupid. You take John Smith and his seer stones and all that, we can throw it away. It's just stupid. But the Yakubian lore, I don't know, bro. I don't know. There's something about humans that makes me feel like they're devoid of something that should be pre-installed. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some how do you show me an animal that will destroy its own burrow? Like it knows it has to live there, but it'll just fuck it up and tear it up. Like who cares? I don't give a shit. No animal does that. They're supposed to be stupid. They don't destroy their own homes. Humans are dumping toxic waste in the ocean and then they go on vacation and go swimming in the ocean.
In the handful of areas that haven't been riddled with the toxic waste.
Bro, it's water. It's water, right? It's moving everywhere. It's infected shit, but like you dumped it over there, but then you go swim over here. Yeah. What if you was in a what if you was in an Olympic sized swimming pool and somebody just shot like, just a little squirt of piss in at the other end?
It's over on the other end. Still
Would
blue
you
over
stay would you
here.
stay in the pool? Would you just be like,
Ab-
"Oh, I'm fine." People would probably be outraged. They'd be like, "I saw him squirt some piss in the pool. He was standing on the side. He just peed in the pool." Drain the whole
oh,
thing,
dude.
scrub the floor, and refill it. They'd be pissed off.
That's some great performance art. Is you
Right.
just show up at a pool in a hazmat suit and you like you're dumping toxic waste and you just I don't know like I don't know who the polluters are. We'd have to do some research on it, but it's like Dow Chemical or DuPont or whatever, and you just go to the edge, right? And you drop your drawers, you reveal the Stargate, and on your ass, like you have like a little silver cylinder, like it's a nuclear waste tube, and you just take a shit right in the pool. And if
Mm.
anybody complains, it's like, listen, B, we do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you drop some shit in the ocean, there's still a whole bunch of ocean left. You could swim around this waste. We just drop we're just giving you a little microcosm of what's going on the larger scale. And if it's odious to you here, it should be odious to you there. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Makes sense to me,
Performance art.
right? Makes sense to me. But yeah,
Because
the
pissing's
humans.
not enough. You got to
Yeah,
drop
probably
some
not.
hard waste
Yeah,
to really
some
make the
hard
statement.
waste. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. Because yeah, that wouldn't be enough. It'd be enough to get you kicked out, but not enough to make them drain the pool.
Oh yeah. The club like people have been peeing in the pool all day, but you
Right.
drop that log, that solid righteous recreation of your lower intestines. You just
Oh.
bang it out right there as a political statement, and just wait to get arrested.
Yeah, it's just sitting in there stewing with everybody, just staring at it. Yeah, that'll get you in some serious trouble.
And then when they complain to you, like, listen, our white supremacist scientists have done the math and they've determined that this trace amount is not dangerous for humans. It's still safe to swim in the pool. Please look at these brochures and charts I brought.
Yeah, these racist white supremacist charts.
It's
I'm
based
sure
on science.
if math is racist, I'm sure pie charts are definitely racist. So you just tell them that the amount of poop that I just dropped in this pool versus the distance that you were swimming away from it is similar to the amount of toxic waste that China dumps in their ocean, and it's carried by all the undercurrents over to the beaches that y'all swim in. It's roughly the same, so don't worry about it.
We've worked out the math. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah,
Everything's going to be fine.
it's China. It's always China. It's always China. I have such a problem with the shit that they're doing over there right now that is borderline becoming racist. Because
No,
it's just I mean I have to like when I say China, I have to like correct myself to Chinese government
it's the
because I know what I'm
CCP.
talking about. I know what I'm talking about, but it sucks to just be like watching a video on YouTube and somebody in the house with you just hears you mumble fucking China, yo. It's like you gotta
It
clarify
sounds
that it's
racist.
about the
Yeah.
government. It's not the people. It's just the government, bro. Not China as a geographical location. It's the ideological issues that I have. But
Uh, a very wise man used to say to me when he would talk about shit, and he didn't want to be, he was trying to be sensitive, and he would just say, I mean the white power structure. He'd be very precise to try not to make it offensive. I'm not talking about all white people. I'm talking about the
no,
white power structure.
right. That's
and
smart.
and and I appreciated that. I'm like, if you just said white people, you wouldn't bother me. But I appreciate that you're caring enough that you at least want to try to be as precise and sensitive as possible. And yeah, you got to say the CCP. You can't throw all, and it's just like any other thing. Most people are helpless, ignorant sheep. They have no idea what's going on. They're not responsible shit. Many of us aren't even responsible for our own lives, right? So we're not manning the ship and making this shit happen. But as always, it's some small group of people that has the rest of the large masses of people at gunpoint or by the balls with laws or access to resources or whatever the case may be. But everybody else is just kind of going with the flow. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's not the Chinese people, but the CCP, that Winnie the Pooh looking motherfucker, those guys are pieces of shit. There's nothing I could think of as once I heard that they were just raping the women in the Uyghur camps as a means of like breeding them out, like they've gone full prima nocta. I was just like, yo, there's nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing. The organ harvesting, maybe some of it's speculation because of interests that are against them. Who knows how much proof is there really? But then that came out from an eyewitness that like escaped. I'm like, yeah, you guys are just like this is what's crazy to me is I can't think of anything because still Hitler is still like the main villain ever. Like he
Yeah.
is the go-to supervillain. Never find anything nice to say about him. There's never any kind of redemptive quality or anything you can at least give him credit for. Well, he was kind of good at being evil. He did this smart. He kept it, the trains ran on time. He had a great budget. Nothing. You get the uniforms were really stylish. Nothing. You can't give him credit for anything. He's the ultimate villain. He's not even a human being in history. He's matter of fact, on Halloween, you can dress up like the devil and nobody bats an eye. Dress up like Hitler. You
Oh
can
wow,
literally
yeah.
go to a Halloween party as the devil and it's fine. Oh yeah, giant horns. You look like the guy in Legend. No problem. Come right in. Hitler, you cannot come. You can't even go as fucking Charlie Chaplin because you kind
Yeah.
of look like Hitler.
Right, right. But
That's
the
how bad
devil,
he is.
it shows
Right.
you what people really believe in when it comes down to it. You could be like a sexy devil, like oh, it's
Right.
always just jokes about the devil. but Hitler,
They
that
ain't
ain't
playing
funny.
with Hitler.
That ain't funny.
Yeah, but what happened under Hitler back then that we all have to be universally outraged about, can't joke about, can't fuck around with. It's the most sacred atrocity in the history of the world. And what happened then that's not going on in China right now? I can't think of anything. You got camps, you got genocide, you got rape, you got like eugenics, you got absolute like inhuman treatment in a totalitarian regime. I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is the only reason why Germany fell is because they weren't they weren't investing in the American stock market enough. Like, is that the saving
Mm.
grace? Because China keeps dumping money into our economy. We're like, all right, all right, all right. It's just a little genocide. No big deal. It's just
Yeah, I don't know how they get away with it, other than they make a lot of products for real cheap, and people seem to like that. So it seems like if you can make a cheap enough product that people want bad enough, there's not a whole lot that you can do to get yourself in trouble. Well, then not necessarily even cheap. I think the cheap might just be like an extra modifier that makes it double the score. But the fact that you make something that people want really bad, I think it's the attachment and people's entitlement to have the things that make them comfortable. That's what that shit's rooted in. Because if you really want it bad enough, nobody can tell most people anything. You can show them pictures of child slaves making the actual shoes that they're wearing, and they'll be like, "Well, if you smoke weed, you support Mexican cartels or some stupid, you know what I mean? Some stupid shit." Because I've heard, you've heard that a bunch of times. Like, if you buy weed from a street dealer, then you're supporting drug cartels that murder politicians. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But there's a straight, real, objective line from basketball sneakers to child slavery, and that's up for debate. But we can bring in some other fantastical shit about ganja and whatever else, but you get pointed a straight line between these two things, and nobody has anything to say about it because they want their sneakers.
I'm gonna go back and read the Third Reich in Power because I think I missed some stuff and I need to really go back in over it in depth because at this point, right at this moment, I think I figured out how Hitler could have got away with everything. He tried to take over everything too fast. He invaded too many countries too quickly. China is very slow and methodical. We're going to get a little bit of Hong Kong, going to get a little tiny bit of Taiwan, going to just put a little man-made island right in between, just a little bit. Just have one or two ships over by Australia, just a little bit. Just really slow and methodical, and they dumped money into the American market. If Germany would have invaded Poland a little slower, kept throwing money to Wall Street, I think he could have got away with it. I don't think I'd be here right now. I would have never made
Wow.
it over to America.
Right. So if they were sneakier,
They
they could have
just
gotten away with it.
he got too Nordic with his shit.
Right. Too Viking.
Just I'm getting in my boat, I'm going everywhere. China's like very slow, just a little tiny bit. Don't
Just a
worry about
little
it.
bit.
Have just
Little
have,
bit.
have Have a little trinket. I made this very cheap. It's a little toy. Your kid will like it. Just a
Oh,
tiny
you
little
guys
bit.
are in Africa now too? Just a little, a little
Just a
bit,
little bit. Tiny
not
bit.
nothing major.
Just a little bit of cobalt.
Oh,
A
you own
tiny bit.
17 diamond and cobalt mines. Well, just just nothing major.
Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry. What's the new IPO? We're gonna put a couple $1 billion into your next IPO,
Oh.
and then we'll make more money because the stock will go up. It's just whatever. We're gonna owe it.
Wait,
No problem.
how many Chinese women came to America and had babies with dual citizenship and went back home in the last 10 years? Just a little, just
Just a
not a
little.
lot. Just a
I mean,
couple.
when you're talking about
It happens.
1.5 billion people, I
Oh,
mean,
it
it's just a
happens.
little bit.
Sometime when you go over, when you're pregnant and you go with your kid, you want to go see Disney, you stay for a few months, bam, you got a baby with dual citizenship. What can you do?
And they laugh at us because of how stupid we are, because you could not go over, get pregnant in China, and them give a fuck about
Not
letting you
even
have
get
any citizen
pregnant.
rights.
They come over here 8 months. You know what I'm
Right. And
saying?
just
Come over
drop
here,
the baby
right?
here. Yeah. And we're like, oh, you're a citizen. I guess here's the nuclear codes. This is our power grid. You want to build the 5G towers for us, huh? You want to build our infrastructure? Sure,
Yeah,
just a little bit. We'll
just a
build just a
little,
little bit of your infrastructure.
not much.
Just a little bit.
That's horrible,
Just a
bro. And
teeny
it's really
tiny bit.
happening. And it's really
Yeah.
happening. It's really happening. It's some ninja shit. Not, no pun intended, but I know that's Japan, not
Nah,
China.
yeah, yeah.
It's some ninja
Yeah.
shit. It is. It's a quiet attack. Nobody sees it coming because they enjoy it. And they're like, we'll give you some food. We'll give you some little toys and shit for super cheap. We'll injection mold anything you can think of. We'll just make it for super duper cheap and just send it right to you in the mail. People put them on the shelves in their stores for $18. China give it to you for $2. You know what I mean? And it fuels the American economy, bro. Think about how few people, when you think about business models and products and everything, think about what percentage less do you think there would be American businesses and items on shelves and SKU numbers if everything had to be made in America?
Ooh.
The market would take an extreme dip. It would be hit massively hard because a lot of this little goofy throwaway disposable shit, you couldn't afford it anymore.
There'd be a huge recalibration in the way things are done.
Of value.
It yeah, it would be a huge adjustment, and it would call for a reckoning at the very top. You wouldn't be able to extract and exploit as much. Like right now, you can keep everybody pacified with the wages that you give them, and you can have margins that are getting you 200, 300, 400% more than your average worker as a CEO. Those margins would shrink drastically
Right.
because prices would go up, and you'd have to pay people a higher wage, which would mean there'd be less to extract to the at the top. So it would bring down the people at the highest level. But their whole job is to figure out a way to never come down and just find another way to plug us a hole in the boat for just long enough so they can make another $1 million before they get to their next baby senator meeting. And that's what they would find some way to weasel out of it. But if
Yeah.
we actually recalibrated the way that was necessary, um, yeah, it would be a tough adjustment, but I think it would work. I there's
It'd
we
be
have
hard,
enough
man.
we have enough land though, and we have enough resources, and we have enough technology that we really don't need anybody else. Everybody comes here to get a little piece of what we have, to get educated at our schools, I mean, China steals our intellectual property left and right. Everything that's dope for the most part is here. And people from all over the world where they can't do dope shit in their country, they're like, okay, I will go to America so I can do some dope shit. I mean, so everybody really is clamoring after what we have here, and it's kind of fucked up to cut people off from it. You know, um, I mean, it sucks. I like the idea that people that are in shitty places, there's an opportunity for some people to come here and contribute to our dopeness here and get out of the shittiness that exists elsewhere. But the way that things are right now, I mean, I the fact that we're empowering a place that's just, I mean, again, it Hitlerian level evil, undeniable. It's not even up for debate. Like, I've never heard anybody in the news that defends China talking about, no, there's not really concentration camps. And they're just like, they do things differently there. They've got their own obligations and they got their own way of doing things. We don't judge. But no one's ever been like, no, they don't have Uyghur concentration camps. Like, with the shit that Joe Biden said, the shit that Mark Cuban said, the shit that Steve Kerr said, the shit that LeBron James said, anybody that's making money with that arrangement and making serious money, they're never have outright said that's just not true. Just gloss over it like it's no big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some horrible shit, but they're dug in. There wouldn't be any more dollar stores.
No, none. Yeah,
That's for
that's not a
sure.
thing
Dollar
anymore.
store is dead
Be the $10 store.
immediately. I
Ten's
think
the new
maybe,
one.
like you said, the resources and the technology exist, so it's very likely that the hardest part to change would be the psychology, people's minds changing and knowing that you can't go just buy some stupid shit you're going to throw in the garbage in 5 minutes because it's going to cost you $8 instead of 99 cents. So it would change people's mentality about products and value and everything else. And that's even if we had higher standards, it would help even more. But I'm just talking about replacing the whole disposable industry as is, but with American made shit. So it could still be made. I guess if it was still made out of garbage, people would be less inclined to value it. But if you raise the production value and everything else, that's just going to raise the price even more. Just making garbage in America is just going to cost more than garbage from China. But if you actually start making good shit, products that's going to last and stuff,
Yeah,
that's a whole
exponentially higher.
wow. Wow. Yeah, dollar stores would die immediately. That's the first thing to go. And Walmarts would all automatically be like 40% smaller.
But you want it, but it goes so, and I think that that's the reason why the game is as it is, because when you start pulling in that thread and all that stuff falls apart, how do you pay someone to pretend to be somebody else for entertainment? How do you pay them $30 million to be in that movie? How is there enough capital around for that to be that value?
Right.
So if you really think about it, the people that are harmed the worst are the people that extract the most with contributing the least. It's throwaway shit. It's frivolous shit. And I wouldn't shit on, like Cyril made a good point about how sports being a part of culture, and I get that. I totally get that. And he's right. It is a part of our culture, and it was at one point like a filament or a line through like all people in all culture. It wasn't so divided. Like sports was kind of just like the military, kind of just like a situation where you're going to have people from all different kinds of backgrounds. You're more than likely to have that situation in a sports setting, if you're good
Yeah.
at sports. But I mean, when you really think about it, you're just entertaining us. When we're talking about survival, and survival in the context of surviving so that we don't have to pour into something that's, Hitlerian levels of horrific, um, then that momentary joy of being entertained seems frivolous. It doesn't seem like it's worth $10 million to watch you play a game every year. It's just
Right.
not that worth it to civilization. It's not worth it to watch you pretend to be somebody in a movie for entertainment. I don't think there would be that much that money. There's just if you're talking about the dollar store being the $10 store. I mean, how much would tickets to a game have to be to
Oh,
sustain that
please.
level of disparity, right? And who's going to value it that much? So I just think everything we talked about, bottom line is, it takes away a mechanism for this ungodly level of extraction. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I still think you would get rich people, you would get people that are more valuable in the marketplace, but it would be much more of a meritocracy, as
Mm.
far as how valuable this shit really is to society. But as long as we can export misery and just kind of, export that shit across the map and let somebody else fit the bill for it so that we can artificially lower costs, um, as long as we're doing that, I think that we're just keeping a situation where people can extract without adding value. So
Right.
I have no problem with that falling apart. And if we got to eat, triangle meat and aspic, if that's the trade off, I'm with it. Fuck it.
Triangle meat and aspic, literally in the aspic. That's I mean that's our inevitable future. So we might as well just get used to it.
Embrace it.
Aspic is on its way. It's in the pipeline. So everybody who's listening, Google Aspic, Aspic, Aspic dinner, Aspic recipes. Try Google all that. Get it. Just take it in, and prepare for your future because it's coming. And I ain't even mad at it. With what we're doing right now with everything else, I mean, aspic can't be as bad as a can of corned beef hash. Well, if you just put the corned beef hash in the aspic, does that make the corned beef hash better or worse?
Have you read how many milligrams of salt are in a can of Chef Boyardee?
Right. Listen, I've been fighting. I'm gonna
That
keep it
shit is
all the way real.
startling.
I'll keep it all the way real. I've been fighting buying a can of corned beef hash for probably a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Every because we go shopping, every time we go to the store, I look at it for a couple seconds, and I'll be like, I kind of remember this being good, especially with some eggs. You know what I'm saying? And then I just walk away because I'm not that stupid. But I consider it every time. I mean, it's that nostalgia. It's that nostalgia. You get it in your brain and these flavors, and you're just like, oh man, I remember that. But if you read that can, boy, whew, it's basically just meat and formaldehyde. That's allegedly, or to disavow whatever I have to say to not get sued by the people who make corned beef hash, but it's basically just meat and formaldehyde. And the word meat is used loosely, of course.
Right, right, right,
There's a
right.
whole bunch of scrapple in there. You ever heard of scrapple, bro?
Is Scrapple a thing? I
Scrap.
can I can deduce what it is.
What do you think it is?
I would think meat remnants, things that
Right.
are not necessarily like you wouldn't have a slab of it, but it was part of the animal and you can grind it up into some kind of
Yeah.
paste that you could probably make edible.
That's exactly what it is. Scrapple is somehow worse than spam. It's worse than spam, literally. Because spam, at least they get a consistency with spam, which tells you that they're using, it may not be the finest cuts of meat in there, but when you look at a can, the whole little spam shape, it's pretty much just one consistent color. There might be a couple, you know, peppered in dots of fat and gristle possibly in there, but it looks like they used a bunch of the same thing to make it. Scra- Scrapple looks like they just swept the butcher's floor,
uh
rounded up, and gave it to you in a block. They probably put some aspic in it to keep it together in the shape or something like that. Yo, it's the worst shit you've ever looked at.
and it's
And
a product
it's a product.
like
You can
spam.
buy it. It's in the store and it's called Scrapple. They not even
Yeah.
that's the open face shit sandwich again. They're not even trying to
Like
play
yeah.
with a fancy name or call it
Nope.
no, it's Scrapple.
The root word is scrap.
Right. Right. Yeah, just Google Scrapple while you're looking up aspic. Everybody Google Scrap and imagine that being on your
Oh
breakfast
shit.
plate.
So now I have in my head a vision of like recreating the Emerald City with aspect and scrapple and spam. It has all the right like color and consistency, like to use that as your building blocks.
Right.
And I'm waiting for somebody to just make an a magnificently detailed diorama of anything. Washington crossing the Delaware, the Annunciation of Christ, whatever you want, but with just aspect and scrapple and spam. And I believe that that's going to be a thing. That's going to
I
be the
feel
new
like
medium.
I feel like this is the conglomerate that runs the world in the future. They were three separate businesses who were originally at war with each other, and then some event happened, and they realized they had to all come together, and it was the largest merger humanity had ever seen. Aspic, Scrapple, and Spam all joined forces, and this is the conglomerate that runs the world in the future. They're like Wayland Yutani in the Alien universe. They're Skynet, bro. That's Skynet. Aspic, Scrapple, and Spam. If
and they
anybody's gonna make enough money to take over the world, it's those three.
and they have a festival every year because you gotta get buy-in through ritual, and every year they promote it, and it's people bringing their most detailed and artistically brilliant creations because people shouldn't be consuming this, so it becomes the new art medium.
Well, that's the thing is that when you take out all the fanciness from these, for like you got to be pretty opulent to kill and one animal and eat like a whole piece of it. That's like what the kings did, with the turkey leg and shit.
Mm.
Poor people get ground, they get burger. It's like you can't afford, there's too much opulence in the idea of having like a cut of the meat. No, you got to have something that came out of sleeve.
And you got to get people excited about it. So how do you promote it?
Right. So we've taken all of that away. This has brought humanity is all down to you can't be like, oh, I had chicken breasts last night. No, you had scrapple like the rest of us. You had spam and aspic. That's what you had. So that society is starting to
Wow.
get better. So the only thing left is to become artistic with it because we know what's in it. We don't,
Yes.
you know what's in it. It's like it's Scrabble. So what can you do with it?
Yes.
So now we
So
got the
it
colorful aspects and the molds, and that's how you get fancy now.
right. So now, okay, you got all these different atoms, right? But you only got protons, neutrons, and electrons,
Right.
and it's the combination that makes something different. You got spam, scrapple, and aspect, and in the future, the difference in the food is the difference in did you come up with a new way to package it? What's the most unique meat sleeve
Right.
you came up with? And there'll be competitions, and you'll be like, "Yo, let me get a soccer ball. Let me get a TV remote. Let me get a speaker." And it's
Oh,
just it's in unique shapes, and it's uniquely, but it's the exact same shit. They
but you get
color the
different
aspect
experience.
different,
Yeah.
right? And they
Oh,
carve it in a
wow.
different shape, so you're convinced you're getting something different. It's the same proton, neutron, and electron in everything you're eating. It's the same shit. They just gave it to you in a different combination. Like, oh, these aren't two little meat circles. These are ears on a little mouse. It's a little mouse character that they created.
Dude,
So
and they
that's what.
release new products like, like how they have the McRib spinning in the commercial.
Oh
They have the
shit.
commercial spinning, and it's just the plate with the new invention on it, the new item that's on the menu. It's like aspic now served in the shape of a teacup. Looks like a big teacup on your plate, and it's just, And then you can go to restaurants and they have like the gyro wheel, the meat spinning on the grill like that with the heater, and you can just slice off yeah, yeah, bro. Aspic, scrapple, and spam.
That's how we feed the
I love
future.
it. I love it.
That's yo. If
I love it.
if this dude does not see his future self and get his ass eaten, that's the
That's
destiny.
that's the destiny that we're all moving
That's what
towards.
he's saving us from. That's when he says, "I want you." Listen, why do I have to eat your ass? And he just puts his hands on his temple. Let me show you. Let me show you what your future looks like if you don't eat my ass.
And it's just a super cut of people sitting at the table with aspic molds on the table.
And it's just flashing like 80 frames a second of
Oh,
all the different shapes. It's horrific. All the different products that they come up with. The teacup is great. Tied into
just
a teacup.
spinning, was spinning on the table with the light behind it and shit. And the
Because we'll,
people
we'll
people
we'll
get
be
in
so,
fights about it when they go order it and they're out of them. They have fights in the parking lot,
and
like
that's
like
it.
chicken sandwiches and shit. You don't have to.
Everybody's
We're out of
everybody's
teacups.
everybody's paupers. There's no it's gonna be how people remember what human beings used to have when we had shit. So there is no more teacups in this future. There is no more televisions or TV remotes or speakers or anything. There's no more trucks. There's no more cars. There's no more airplanes. But we remember that we used to have these things because every other week, the spam, spackle, and aspic conglomerate is releasing a new artifact, a new shape of an artifact, a vestige of a forgotten time when we used to have shit. That's how we actually continue to have a collective consciousness is at the dinner table. This is what the world used to look like. We have little tiny aspect versions of it
All the
now.
shit from the dollar store that's gone now. They sell molds of it. You just eat it with your scrapple and spam dish. I love
Yeah,
it, dude. Yeah. So we gotta you gotta make sure 8 Ball gets his job done.
please.
Yeah,
If
please.
if a dude pulls a pistol on you at a at a bus stop or a train station, just eat his ass and save us all. He's on a mission from God. Please.
Yeah. And it's not gay because it's actually you from the future.
It's- Even if you don't look anything like you,
Yeah. He can be
just
a
trust
totally
me.
different race, different height, all that. Trust me, it's you from the future. Just do what he says. Just do what he says. Don't argue with him. Don't argue with him. You're gonna destroy the whole planet. You're gonna reset the simulation if you argue with him.
Just go through the Stargate. Go, go through the Stargate.
Look, just if you ever have any questions, if you're not sure, just ask yourself, how does one go about procuring a mint condition 8 Ball jacket? Just ask yourself that question, and it should bring you to the conclusion that you know is true.
Or if you ever get access to the 80% of the scrolls that were taken to Qumran that haven't been translated by the Vatican, if you can sneak in there, you're gonna find some hieroglyphs. You're gonna find something that's gonna show you that this is absolutely what it is.
I love it. I love it. Hey,
Good shit.
yeah, man. Third episode running.
we're just we're just so pleased with ourselves.
I mean, I am. I am. I feel like I got some things figured out. You know what I'm saying? I feel just how it's just a weight lifted off your shoulders once you come to the
Ooh,
aspic spam and scrapple realization. It's
that's
like it's just a
great.
weight just lifted from my shoulders. I get it now. I
Yo,
get it.
that's great. That's great. If that's who that dude is, and that's the future he's trying to save us from, is great. Cause it's it's the choice between two different kinds of shit sandwiches.
It's like,
It's
wait,
just
wait. You started traveling from the future to do
in
all this
1996.
to all these people because you don't like the food in the future? Is that what this is all about? I hate spam, man. I couldn't live with the spam and the scrabble, bro. I couldn't. So wait, so how did you come up with this ritual that was gonna fix everything? I'm trying to. How does this connect the scrapple spam? Like, listen, if you've been eating scrapple spam and aspic for 5 years, you might need some soothing relief too. Like, wait. Oh.
Oh shit. It makes too much sense. It makes too much. Listen, I'm gonna do some digging. I'm convinced there's a hieroglyph. And people have probably glossed over it for years because it just brought up more questions than they were willing to try to answer. And I guarantee you, there's something that looks like an 8 Ball jacket, and there's a dude that's sitting on another dude's face.
I'm about to rewatch all the episodes of Ancient Aliens until I find it.
So I'm gonna go find my Magical Egypt DVDs. I'm going through everything that hieroglyph exists. Google's hiding it because
It's
they are
here.
Skynet, but that shit is real. Somebody's seen it.
Make sure
Somebody
you
in the
use
vast
one of those
knows.
blockers before you start googling it.
Oh yeah,
Just
VPN. There'll
don't.
be
Yeah,
agents at the door. So I
yeah,
see you've been trying to find out where the Stargate goes, huh?
right. You're about to find out today. You gonna learn
Yeah,
today. Yeah, that's it, bro. I love it. This guy is awesome. What's his name? Oh, Larry Mandel.
Larry Mandel.
He's real. He's real. Larry Mandel, bro. Oh, this is great. I fucking love it. I know I shouldn't love it as much as I do, but it's so good. I'm sorry.
And you don't think he lives in the same universe as Special Agent Wet Nurse? When
Of,
that little baby is granting superpowers
of course he
to every
does.
nip he sucks on. The more we craft, the more it just makes sense. It makes sense. That world makes sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of her informants. He just gives her tips every now and then on how to stop some crimes and shit. But yeah, Larry Mandel, the time travel, the eight ball time traveler, the eight ball time traveler.
Well,
Wherever this video is hosted, it's definitely getting some more views right now. There's got to be a lot of people watching it because the way it just stuck to the consciousness is unbelievable. Whoever's watching it, it has to be the wildest shit you've ever seen. It has to be, and there's a reason for that. Is all I'm saying. There's a reason for that. There's a lot of content in there. Oh, brother, but I'm gonna turn in, man. It's getting late. I'm gonna crash and maybe fit in one episode or something pointless before I go to sleep.
there you go.
But good talking to you, man. This may be the best one yet. This might be the crowning jewel of
Of
all of
Larry
our.
Mandel.
Yeah. Larry
Larry Mandel
Mandel is
saga.
he's the bow that ties all of this together with the pristine eight ball Jackson. Just brings it all together. I love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You take it easy, man. Well, I'll hit you up soon.
Yep. You too. Always a pleasure, my brother. Be easy.
Peace.